Welcome to those who have been watching Big East softball. Good to have you with us here on FS2. This is America's Day at the Races. Our program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Live action from here in Belmont, New York, and Louisville, Kentucky at Churchill Downs under the Twin Spires. Got a good card today here in New York, and nice weather here on this Friday afternoon as we gear up for a huge weekend of action. We'll preview all of it coming up. 5 graded stakes on that Saturday card. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Sterling. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Looking forward to today's races. Looking forward to getting the weekend underway.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Man of War, obviously, grade 1 and 2 heavyweights, including the reigning turf champion showing up tomorrow. Yeah,
it's going to be great to see Yabir and Gufo squaring off in that race. They met in the Breeders' Cup. Gufo didn't show up. Yabir finished second in a prep race. He's had kind of an interesting campaign this year. Gufo looked good down at Gulfstream.
First things first, today's action, race 3 here at Belmont. Mile on the turf, New York bred, first allowance condition. We got an 8-5 favorite in Uncle Curly. We're going to check in downstairs with Acacia Clement for more on the horse on our screen here.
Yeah, that's the number 5, Masetta, who I do like. And I will say that Uncle Curly probably looks the strongest that he has in a while, but I just don't trust him. Masetta coming out of the Woodhaven. And last time out, well, I thought he was a really athletic, good-looking individual, and I liked him in that race. Just really thought that he needed to strengthen up off of that layoff, as is typically the case for a Linda Rice runner. He looks much stronger today. He also had another level of intensity this afternoon in that he really had run on his mind. So hoping second off the bench. He was a lot more forward last time out than he typically is too. Maybe can sit a good trip behind Mission at the Spa, the likely pace setter, Greg.
All right, Acacia, thank you. Going to load up here shortly. The 5 made a really nice appearance on the track. Faced that undefeated runner. Unanimous consent for Chad Brown last out.
I feel like I misread this race. I thought Masetta was the clear horse to beat in here. I'm not a big fan of Uncle Curly. I'm scared when Peter Walter gets bet like this, but I don't see what's so special about him. And Masetta, he's the one horse in this race that has some real upside. We'll see how things play out.
5-2. Well, now 2-1, clear-cut second choice. Yeah, seemingly I would have thought he would have been the one to beat as well, but maybe that is Irad Ortiz money. Going to the favorite?
I don't know. You know, it's a tough read for me. He's obviously not impossible. He's run fast enough to win here. Peter Wall, as a trainer, had very limited success over the last 5-6 years running horse in New York, but his horses have been running reasonably well lately. So whatever it was, you know, they seem to be bringing the right horses up here. And Uncle Curly is a New York bred who's run some races in New York, and he's run okay. He ran okay last time. He got wired by bar 14.
Meanwhile, look at Barrel of Quest. David Donk sending this one out. Just one against New York breds to break his mane. That was the first time back on turf since the debut in start number 5, and took a big move forward, certainly from the debut.
He did, and he's a generous place. You like him at 8-1. I feel like last time was the time, and this is a much, much tougher spot. But he ran well enough that I wouldn't just completely discard him.
Third from Belmont, Mile on the grass. Again, New York bred, first allowance condition here in race 3. Let's go upstairs. John Imbrial with the call.
Waiting for Jumpster and Barrel of Quests. They're in the gate. And they're off. It is Mission at the Spa and Courageous Ola. Those two are right together here in the early going. Courageous Ola, a bit difficult to handle there, has now dropped 2.5 lengths off of Mission at the Spa. Then we come back to Barrel of Quest, who's racing in third. Uncle Curly's down on the inside. Masetta is right there. And then at the back of the pack are Jumpster and Mr. Kringle. Mission at the Spa steps away here to lead by 7 lengths. Courageous Ola runs in second through a quarter in 22-2. It's another 4. Back to Barrel of Quest in third. Masetta is now up to 4th. Uncle Curly runs in 5th. And then Mr. Kringle and Jumpster. It is Mission at the Spa with the big lead here going into the far turn. Mission at the Spa by 8 lengths. Ran the half in a demanding 45 1/5 seconds. It is Mission at the Spa with the lead. Courageous Ola, about to be passed on the outside by Barrel of Quests. Then comes Meseta, followed by Uncle Curly, who's down at the rail, and on the outside, Mr. Kringle. Mission at the Spa still has the lead. The lead is about 6 lengths as they head for home. 3/4 win in 109.1. Mission at the Spa in front. Uncle Curly now moves into second and is gaining ground quickly. On the outside is Mr. Kringle. They're coming for the 16th pole. It's Mission at the Spa. Here's Uncle Curly. Here's Mr. Kringle on the outside. It is Uncle Curly who takes over here in deep stretch. Uncle Curly is the winner. Photo for second between Mr. Kringle and Mission at the Spa. Meseta finished 4th.
Well, Mission at the Spa was living up to his name. I felt like we were at Saratoga on that inner turf course. We see some races like that where runners just try and run off from the field. In the end, Uncle Curly runs his speedster down.
I just think that's what you have to do with this horse, Trevor McCarthy. Just let him roll along. And boy, have these courses firmed up after the enormous amount of rain we got last weekend. And the money seems to normally be right with Peter Walder's horses. No big surprise. They bet this horse, and they were right. He gets it done. And Irad was inside of Eric Cancella, Meseta, and Irad just sort of said, "Get out of my way." And he got out of his way.
Irad Ortiz Jr., Peter Walder, Paradise Farms, 7-year-old son of Curlin. And you're not kidding about this turf course firming up. 133.3 for the mile.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider the rain we had, and it's not like it's been super hot, but these courses get firm, and this course is in great condition as we head towards the weekend. But Uncle Curly gets a perfect trip under Irad Ortiz, and Irad won the first race at a generous price at 9-2. This one took all the money.
Mission at the Spa tried to put this field away early. Still hangs on and gets a piece of it here. But in the end, it's Uncle Curly, 4-3, 1-5-2 already this afternoon for the first 3 races for Irad Ortiz Jr. He could play all of today's action. We have the pick 6 coming up next. Late pick 5 still ahead. Play with Naira Bets, $200 deposit match bonus. With that code right there for new members, stakes 200. And bet any track, anywhere, anytime, including the remaining legs of the Triple Crown. We got the Belmont Stakes not far off now, June 11th. Going to be a fantastic week of racing. Here's what's ahead, presented by Clayburgh Farm. 4 through 9 here in New York. Pick 6 time. We're fast and firm at Churchill Downs. Going to check into Louisville here in a moment with Paula Duca. They are fast and firm as well. Their 4th race coming up, mile and a 16th on the turf. In a 50,000 starter allowance, they're about 8 minutes away from this 4th race ahead. Sun's shining in Louisville. And as they come onto the track, Hawk of War. Got to look at this horse in the paddock off screen. Looked tremendous for Mike Maker. Here he is.
Yeah, I thought he was a bit of a player, and here he seems to have some speed. The 2 feels like the worst. Wait a second. Of the moment, the 2 is 10-1 in this race?
I'm with you. I thought he was a
major
force.
What's going on here? Oh, I'm betting on that horse. He had a wide trip last time. I thought the 2 were the 1 and 7, a little 4 maybe. I don't know. Wow.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by the 2 quite a bit as well. Carmel Bay, 15-1.
As he should be.
0 for 4 in the money on the lawn. Here's Courageously, 9-2.
Well, it's Chris Hartman. I always consider his horses dangerous, so I wouldn't be shocked if he does reasonably well. His last race was good enough to give him a chance.
Malibu Time coming in from South Florida.
Tough horse to like in this race, yet he's somehow a shorter price than the 2, and on paper has absolutely no chance. What's going on here? Do I have the wrong PPs for of the moment?
Epimethium, 13. It was 10-1 morning line.
Right, Greg, I just want to say, how long have you been working on pronouncing Epimethium correctly?
It just came to me.
Don't tell me it just rolled off your tongue.
No, it just rolled right off.
He comes out of the same race as the 2, and he had a perfect inside trip, and of the moment was super wide, but he's also a big price.
Up to the 8 right now. Outside post, uninvited guest, Steve Margolis trains.
I'm familiar with being an uninvited guest. He looks like he's been over his head, but he's taking more money than the 2. This
4
is
minutes
insane.
to post. Derby City 6 begins in this race coming up. Let's go live to Louisville. Check in with Paula Duca. Paulie, how you doing?
Going great, guys. And I love to hear the banter going back. I'm with you. I can't believe the 2 in here of the moment is currently, I think, at 9-1 now. That money coming in from that Andy Serling Twitter account. Listen, the 1 in here, I think it's taking money two ways. I think the public's thinking maybe this horse is going to go to the front end, and Tyler Gaffalione gets aboard. I think at this time of year now, with the Derby past us, they're going to start betting jockeys here, and Gaffalione gets on the 1. The 2 in here of the moment comes out of the same race. I'm with Andy, was right there on the pace from the 12 hole. The 10, 11, and 12 hole are basically death at Keeneland. So back here at Churchill Downs, where the horse has a good 4th place finish on the turf course, I do think Courageously is the sneaky, maybe Ricky Bobby horse, first or last, because if you look at Courageously's races and you go back to the mile races, he wins this race. They stretched him out to 1 mile and 1/8. The last 2 races were not good. Can he lay from a little bit off the pace and win this? I really thought this race was 1-4, 4-1 with the 2 sprinkled in, guys.
Paulie, thanks. And, let's go back to Courageously for just a moment, the 4, Andy. Do you find that Fairgrounds, the biggest number he ever earned was Fairgrounds? Does that form for you tend to hold up? Or
It's a good question. I feel like it's somewhat race specific. Are you a little bit suspect of the form from Fairgrounds?
Bit,
Yeah, sometimes I feel like it's a little bit dubious going to other racetracks, but I've found cases that it does.
Although Epicenter did run well.
Yeah, right. Somebody said after the Derby, I think on Twitter, that Fairgrounds form never holds up. I'm like, he just lost to an 80-1 shot at the wire. It's like, they're always susceptible to those super long shots.
Let's go back to the even money favorite. So Hawk of War just taking a ton of action right now. Paulie mentioned Gaffalione. It's Mike Maker as well. And this was back at Keeneland, April 21st, second in a 50,000 starter allowance.
And I thought he ran fine in this race. The winner Eyes on Target was a Mott horse that had been claimed by Mike Dubb. You can see that, those familiar yellow Mike Dubb silks with the pink hat. But there's an argument that this horse just got a really good ride and just sort of picked at the pieces for second as the race was falling apart. Whereas a horse like Of the Moment, who finished just a length and a half behind him, was wide the whole way around the track and was at least engaging early, and the race fell apart. I don't think there's any strong argument that the 1 ran perceptively better than the number 2, Of the Moment. It's not like Of the Moment didn't have a decent enough race before that. I realize he's been huge prices in his races, but I don't think looking at his PPs objectively that Of the Moment versus other horses in this race should be the price that he is. The 1 at even money, this was 7-1. It's nonsensical.
Complete agreement. Minute to post. We'll get back to this race shortly. First prices from the 3rd at Belmont. And Uncle Curly mowing down that speedster mission at the Spa. Irad Ortiz Jr. 2 today. Teams up here with trainer Peter Wolder.
Yeah, and got a perfect trip. Irad saw Eric Hansel outside him. He said, no problem getting out through that door. And he sort of drifted out, and Eric said, come on through. And that was all they wrote. Got it done. I mean, supposed to try to keep the guys in, right? Right?
Usually.
Supposed to try to keep them in. Not keeping that horse in. And
you are Mr. Kringle.
Finished where he likes to finish.
Nailing that speedster for second.
Finishing as part of the try without hitting the winner's circle.
$5.20 for the victory. 4-3-1 in the 3rd at Belmont. The pick 6 going to begin with a 6-furlong sprint on the grass for New York Breds. Maiden claiming race. We'll set that up a little more in depth in a moment. It's back to Churchill first. So we've made our case certainly for the 2. And now 4-5, the more we talk about it, the more Hawk of War gets pounded at the windows.
Well, neither one of us is saying we don't think the 1 can win this race. We do think he can win. I don't think we think he should be 4-5, and I don't think he should be this small fraction of the price of the Moment. And, there's a lot to what Paul said about betting jockeys. They're going to bet Tyler Gaffalione and Ricardo Santana in these races, and that's not the way to play the game. I mean, it's one thing to have a good jockey at a good price. It's another thing to bet a horse an underlay because he has a good jockey.
Meanwhile, there's Optimus Cat on our screen. Dwayne Lucas trains the 7 at 6-1. Dwayne going to send the filly to tackle the boys again. She went in the Arkansas Derby, of course, in that pre-Derby prep. She'll be in the Preakness coming up, adding a little extra intrigue into that race to tackle Epicenter, among others.
I think we should look into how many Grade 1s Wayne Lucas has, what his record is. I have no idea, but I know that I know he's won some big ones. I think Serena Song maybe won the Haskell. Althea, the Arkansas Derby. You know, you think of some of these big races. You remember winning colors, but Wayne's run a lot of horses. I know that Serena Song got nailed in the money in the Whitney, but he's had a lot of success over the years. Life's Magic ran against the boys.
Yeah. Still, at first glance, do you look at it? She runs. Would you say it's the best race she's ever run? The Kentucky Oaks?
Yeah, because I do think she ran. I mean, I think she's run other good races.
Yeah.
But I thought she ran better than it looks, because I could argue that Luis Saez moved her a little soon. I'm not knocking the ride, but you could argue that she moved a little soon, and she made a big wide move. She was clearly best in that race.
And now a 2-week turnaround.
Yeah, and I mean, if you compare her performances to Epicenter, it's not even close. If they both run their similar race, she can't beat Epicenter. And early voting, who we'll talk about a little later, worked very well this morning. And I think he's probably a more likely winner than she is.
4 to 5 here. Hawk of War, mile and a 16th on the turf for Mike Maker, Tyler Gaffalione. But of the moment, the two. The rematch between these two with a better trip. We'll see if this horse can turn the tables. Let's go to Travis Stone for the call, 4th from Churchill.
Tucks in behind as they move by us for the first time. Courageously is in front, the leader with 1 circuit to go. Epimethium with only mild pressure. Optimist Cat tracking them on the outside, while 3rd. Of the moment toward the rail is in 4th. Tough to control early is Hawk of War in tight, while 5th. Uninvited Guest is 6th. Carmel Bay's in 7th. Malibu Time went wide into that first turn and is settled at the back of the pack, but only about 6 lengths off the lead. Pretty tight pack. The opening quarter goes in 24-1. Courageously the leader down the backstretch. Company now. Uninvited Guest with a backstretch move up to engage. Courageously. Optimist Cat in between with Epimethium. Of the moment is down inside, advancing with an opening there. Hawk of War is launching a rally, but is going 4 wide. Malibu Time is 5 wide. Onto the far turn, and Carmel Bay is the trailer. So they're on the far turn now. Uninvited Guest going head-to-head with Courageously. Hawk of War comes on 3 wide. Steady progress there. Of the moment is set to strike while down inside. Malibu Time's under a ride. Epimethium between them. Optimist Cat's tailed off. They hit the top of the stretch, and it's still Courageously confronted by Uninvited Guest. Hawk of War is there. Of the moment needs to find a way through. Epimethium down the center. Optimist Cat, 1 furlong to go. Hawk of War strikes to lead, heading for the final 16th. Uninvited Guest trying to finish with that one. Of the moment, and Epimethium outside. It's Hawk of War short lead. Uninvited Guest. Photo! Nose is up and down. Hawk of War or Uninvited Guest, either one. Epimethium and Of the Moment.
Dead tight finish. Let's take another look. I'm not sure.
I don't know either. I know the way it played out. I'm sorry that Chris Landeros left the rail with the 2. Never really had a clear path to make a run. This was very close. I'm guessing outside won it, the favorite, the overbet favorite. Got it done over the long shot Uninvited Guess. And Of the Moment, a little unlucky in there, to say the least. I can't blame
The 1,
Chris.
the big favorite outside, the 8 Uninvited Guest on the rail. Maybe Hawk of War. We will find out shortly when they post a result. We will have that for you when we come back. We're going to take a timeout. Talked about it at the top of the show. Big time showdown in the Grade 1 Man of War, the reigning turf champion, Yabir, and multiple Grade 1 winner, Gafo, get set to go head-to-head on Saturday.
Whether it's Division 1 or Grade 1, top athletes have certain traits in common. Speed, strength, class, versatility, and most of all, willpower. Claiborne Farm Stallion, War of Will, was a Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf. Now, his first foals are taking the field.
There's Yabir, and Yabir is now mowing him down. Yabir in a last-to-first move. In an instant, Yabir with an 8 to go is sprinted 2 lengths clear. Soldier Rising is chasing that move. Slick back, not today, Bolshoi Ballet. Yabir from last to first will win the Jockey Club Derby and is in the Breeders' Cup.
And down the center of the course, it's Yabir. It's Broom with 1 furlong to run. Yabir is closing on the outside. Broom and Yabir down to the wire. It is Yabir and William Buick to win the turf.
He is exciting to watch. I mean, this move in the Breeders' Cup Turf, he is just rolling by this group. And when he gets into the stretch, his turn of foot can be devastating.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't beating the strongest of fields when he won here at Belmont Park in September, but he went from last to first about as fast as you'll ever see a horse do it. And obviously, he showed his quality when he was able to win the Breeders' Cup Turf. He comes in to face Gouffo. He's had quite a campaign, though. He runs in Dubai. A month later, he preps at Newmarket, and then 2 weeks later, 15 days later, he's coming to Belmont Park. But it's hard to question his trainer, Charlie Appleby.
Yeah, won with 9 of his 18 U.S. starters last year. Pretty incredible strike rate, and at the highest level for most of them.
Yeah.
He was 1-5 in that race, where he just got beat, by the way. But as Charlie Appleby says, that's not a course that really suits his running style. He believes, and it's been proven, at least the way he looked in that Jockey Club Derby, Belmont is.
I think Charlie's feeling is the flatter courses in America are better for him. And it's one of the reasons they want to run here. The other one is as a gelding, I don't think he can participate in a lot of the Group 1 races over in Europe.
He's got both the two big guns in that race, former winners of legs of the Turf Triple. Kind of interesting. But Gouffo.
Who's the other one?
Gouffo.
Oh, Gouffo. Yabir won. I got you.
Yeah. Different years.
I thought you meant he was facing another horse. I was thinking, what did I miss?
But that is coming up on Saturday. We're looking forward to it. Back to the action here. And real quick, at Churchill, unofficially 1-8-6-2. It was the big favorite getting that nose down, but we did have an objection.
It's over now, though.
And yeah, has been taken down, so that will stand 1-8-6-2. We'll get to prices in a moment. Fourth from Belmont kicks off to pick 6. Let's go down to Acacia.
The trainer of Gouffo, Christophe Clement, does send out a first-time starter here, Mr. Chairman, actually the half-brother to another stable star in Disco Partner, who was a horse, a New York bred, who was a star sprinter, earned over $1.4 million. But he was kind of the outlier of the family. The mare has produced a couple of others, but for the most part, Disco Partner was far and above the best production of that mare. So this one, Mr. Chairman, does debut for $40,000 as a homebred for Mrs. Generazio. He looks well suited to the turf, and he looks just like his older brother, Disco Partner, though maybe not as a robust rounder type of sprint individual. He's a little bit more sinewy, and he was a little bit chatty when he first came in here, much like Disco Partner was, but much more composed once they got the tack on him. He looks well suited to this spot. He seems like he knows what his job is and does have Joel Rosario in the saddle. The number 8, the Sleepy Chipmunk, does Laura Flavian Pratt aboard for the first time. He tried the turf last time out. He was really bad to get into the gate, and throughout that race, he looked like he never had a settled type of race. He always looked like he was under the gun being asked, that he was really kind of trying to keep up with the main pack in that performance and never really got a chance to catch a breather. He doesn't look necessarily any more fit coming back here today, in that he does seem to be the type of horse that carries his weight and condition, but I do think it's interesting that Flavian stays aboard. He was climbs aboard, was very wide last time out, and could have some room for improvement. Another first-time starters, the 9 Electrolyzer, first time out for Jorge Abreu. There really isn't any turf pedigree on the bottom side, and he is by Midnight Loot. He doesn't necessarily immediately strike you as a turf horse in that he doesn't have that kind of flatter hoof or slacker pasterns. My guess is that he is one that's a little bit lighter behind the saddle, just doesn't have a lot of condition there and a lot of muscle mass. Maybe the turf will be a little bit kinder surface for this son of Midnight Loot, and he does pick up Irad Ortiz. I want to watch one, though. Greg?
Acacia, thank you. Here's our post-parade. Ableton going to try sprinting for the first time.
Yeah, he's done little running. Would need to improve a new gelding.
Be the Boss next door. Dam was not very good on the grass, but has produced some multiple winners on the turf.
Yeah, this is my choice in the race. This horse after 2 turf winners, including Colonel Tom, who is an excellent turf sprinter. And we're talking about the number 2 as we linger on the 1. The 2, Be the Boss. I like Be the Boss trying the turf for the first time. This horse has already shown he has speed. I'm hoping he can emulate his brother.
Yeah, Colonel Tom won on the turf at Saratoga, Aqueduct, Belmont, all over this circuit. Here's Boyne the back. Gregory DePrima trains 0 for 11.
This one has the best turf form, though, of anybody. His last race at 6 furlong turf sprint. Not a tough field, but at least he ran a little bit.
9-1. My Gal Val. We'll get to in a moment. We go to 20-1 shot. Dylan Davis on My Inspiration.
Dylan is 1 away from his 1,000th win. It would be an upset if he got it with this one.
Yeah, first on the turf for the 5. Here's Seaver, debuted in a maiden special weight at Gulfstream.
For Tom Seaver fans, there's really not much turf pedigree, and the horse did no running first time out. Who knows?
Lord Brownie. Here's Lord Brownie, 33-1, 0 for 4 in the money on the Crass.
You said Lord Brownie, and it was like Frau Blucher, the way that horse whinnied the second you said it.
Yeah, I heard that.
An upsetter.
I don't know if you can hear that at home, but it's extremely loud. The Sleepy Chipmunk, 7-2 Flavian Pratt.
Does get a rider change, as Flavian Pratt was a little bit wide first time out, but comes out of the same mediocre field the 3 does.
Here's Electrolyzer. The Dam was 0 for 8, 0 for 3 on the turf.
There's really not any turf pedigree to speak of. If you're betting this one, you're just relying on Jorge Abreu, the trainer, who's good with first-time stars in turf.
Raw Courage showed speed, sprinting 6 furlongs last start.
Yeah, you could argue at least he showed something, but not enough to win here.
Suit of Armor at 5-1.
Has far and away the best turf race of anybody here, but the form since then is gone the wrong way. But still, I think this one's dangerous.
I like that appearance, too. Jose Gomez, the apprentice, will ride. And Mr. Chairman, Acacia talked about the pedigree half to Disco Partner, who was for world record holder at 6 furlongs on the turf with that win in the Jaipur.
Yeah, and there's other turf winners in the family, but only one who was really good was Disco Partner. This one kind of smells to me, and Into Mischief makes the debut as a 4-year-old in a maiden claiming race with that pedigree. 3-1. I don't think this horse is being bet because there's a story. I just think it's being overbet, but can win.
And My Gal Val, start number 2, turf debut for George Weaver.
Have to 1 turf winner out of 5 to try it. There's a little bit of turf if you want to throw this one in.
Eric Cancel will be aboard. Pick 6 once again begins here on this Friday afternoon card. And here's the one with the pedigree. Debuting from that outside post, Joel Rosario, Christophe Clement. Can Mr. Chairman win first time out? We're about to find out.
Idle perfectly timed. Idle gets up under Joel Rosario to win the big gap. Idler, a scintillating performance in the TVG Belmont debutant.
And Clariere will win the cotillion.
Down to the wire. Who's going to win it? It's Mala by a neck.
Curling, the classic sire.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
The sun shines bright on Caraconte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe. And his offspring are lighting up the sales ring. With his biggest and best quality of books in the pipeline, the sun shines bright on this value sire. Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Back on America's Day at the Races on FS2. You can follow along on our program. Get the stats on all the trainers, jockeys, horses with free Equibase past performances. Go to naira.com/TV schedule and get your free PPs. Play along as we get set for this pick 6 coming up. Back to Suit of Armor, who at Saratoga last summer, a repeat of that second start of this horse's career, probably gets him in the winner's circle.
Oh, he'll smother this field if he runs that race in all likelihood. The problem is he runs lousy in his next start, and trainer Brad Cox wastes no time 23 days later dumping him in for a tag to make sure he gets claimed. He gets claimed. He runs badly on dirt. He runs badly on dirt again. Now, he came back at Finger Lakes, and at least he showed a little life on the wrong surface, dirt, last time. So maybe this horse, whose dam was a very nice turf horse for Todd Pletcher, I believe, Miss Catalyst, gets back to the right surface. So I do think that makes him dangerous, but you have to worry he can't really run anymore. But his last race, at least he showed some life.
No, good point. And you have to figure better on the grass, which he gets back to here with what he showed last summer. So we'll see. 4-1 on Suit of Armor. And with more on this horse, let's go back to Acacia.
For why not to like this horse. I did fall in the trap of Suit of Armor because I like him getting back to the turf. And I do think this is a level that suits him. He is a big, stockier type of horse. Doesn't necessarily look to be one that wants to go the 4.5 furlongs that he did the Finger Lakes last time out. But he had a beautiful warm-up out there under Jose Gomez. Framed himself up really nicely. And I think that this is a surface that he will prefer. As far as the number 2, Be the Boss, does go, has been gelded since that last start. And he did come in here with cotton in his ears, but he didn't do anything wrong. He was very professional throughout. He's also after Stakes Place Turbo Drive, who was good on the grass, and he has a lot of speed. He's a very big son of Lauban, and sometimes gelding can help too for horses that are almost getting too big for themselves and that they can't catch up to their own legs. And hopefully that'll help them to kind of stop growing and settle into a physicality that will suit them better and be able to make them a little bit more comfortable out there on track. So we'll see if Be the Boss can improve with all of those equipment changes and should handle the turf well today with Kendrick Carmouche in the saddle, Greg.
Acacia, thanks. There he is, the 2. A lot of equipment changes, but maybe the most important change is the surface switch.
Yeah, well, that's the only one that matters to me. He's bred to run on the turf. And, you know, he did show, I know it was Penn National, but at least this horse has shown speed. And I'm hoping he gets to the right surface. And I'll tell you what, he's getting bet for a horse that ran as poorly as he did in his last start. This horse has consistently been taking money. I think he's a very interesting new face to this crew.
Pick 6, again, begins in this race coming up, and the money continuing to pour in on the Christophe Clement first-time starter, the half to the world record holder in that Jaipur. at 6 furlongs.
Yeah, he was a tremendous horse. New York bred, Generasios, a lot of good things.
But again, not a great sign debuting for state-bred maiden claiming
Right.
here. We'll
As
see
a 4-year-old, too.
we can get it done in his debut. The gray to the outside will be the last in line. Let's go upstairs. John Imbrial with the call to kick us off in the pick 6.
Set for the start of the 4th. And they're off. Slow beginning for number 9, Electrolyzer. From the inside, it's Be the Boss and My Gal Val. The two of them are heads apart. Seaver now moving up right alongside of Raw Courage. On the far outside is Suit of Armor running in 5th. Bow in the back. On the inside is 6th. The gap of 3 to Lord Brownie, who's running in 7th. My Inspiration is next in 8th. And Mr. Chairman in 9th, followed by Ableton, along with the Sleepy Chipmunk and Electrolyzer. The first quarter was 21 and 2/5 seconds. Be the Boss, who's down at the rail. My Gal Val is in between horses. Seaver on the outside, so 3 of them across with Suit of Armor getting closer now and sitting just off the front 3. Then comes Bo in the back. Raw Courage. Mr. Chairman is getting into gear on the far outside as they come off the turn and enter the stretch. The half and 44 and 1. It's Be the Boss. Seaver on the outside. Mr. Chairman continues to gain. Bo in the back is moving up as they come down for the 16th pole. It is Seaver and Mr. Chairman on the outside. Seaver, Mr. Chairman. It's these two to the finish, and it is Seaver to pull off the upset. Mr. Chairman completes the exacta.
17-1 on the second-time starter, holding off the pedigree play here, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman got a wicked pace to close into and looks like a horse I want to bet against the next time he runs because he's supposed to run these horses down. And in fairness to Seaver, though he had that very good outside stalking trip, he at least engaged the quick pace. They don't have a half-mile time, so I do want to check Trackus and see the times of this race. My 2 horse ran extremely well, getting pressed by a horse that finished nowhere in the 4, My Gal Val. But, you know, with Seaver, if you watch his first race, he broke a little slow. He wasn't trailing on the inside. He was wide in the backstretch, but he got the rail in the turn. They tried awfully hard with him, and he just did not run a step in that race. He doesn't have any turf pedigree to speak of as far as the sire's a turf horse, but different horse today getting it done for the upset. And I had a little 6-2, Eric. Greg, I'm sorry. I had a 6-2, and I'm a little angry. A little bitter.
I mean, that was an insane pace up front. And yeah, Eric Cancel challenging Kendrick Carmouche, Be the Boss, on My Gal Val, and led to the undoing of Be the Boss having any chance to win this race. 6-12, 2-3, 17-1 to start off this pick 6. 1 leg in. 5th at Churchill. Late pick 5. $10,000 maiden claiming race at 1 mile and a 16th. We'll set it up for you. Have the post parade when we come back. Stick with us. A lot more ahead here on America's Day at the Races. You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2. Good to have you with us. Live action from Belmont Park underway in the Pick 6. Late Pick 5 is next. You can play it all, of course, with Naira Bets. Download the app or go to nairabets.com to get signed up and started. Pick 6 begins here in New York with a big long shot. Seaver at 17-1, holding off Mr. Chairman, debuting for Christophe Clement.
Yeah, and he was not right on the pace, but he was just stalking just off that quick pace. And Be the Boss ran very well getting hounded, but he ran well too, Seaver, to get it done. And Mr. Chairman, the favorite, had every chance to get by, and he simply hung in the late stages.
We may have a carryover already in the Pick 6. $37.40 to begin the sequence, with a long way to go as we get back to Churchill Downs. 5th race here. Again, it begins the late Pick 5. $10,000 maiden claiming group. 2 turns, mile and a 16th. We start with Hickory Court.
Yeah, and I probably should help if I got my PPs in front of me. Hickory Court drops down but didn't run at all last time at Keeneland.
Keep on start number 2, debuted in the mud.
Yeah, also at this level, though, stretches out a little bit, but was a complete no-show at a huge price.
Cindy Storm, we've only seen on synthetic from the debut.
Yeah, I guess showed some speed that day, tries the dirt. It's probably more of a dirt pedigree, but the horse didn't do any running as it turned out.
4 and the 9, probably the 2 to beat on paper.
I agree with that, Greg, but I think the 4 is supposed to be favored in this race. I thought T Will Not Pass dropping down here was very, very logical.
Jackie's back. This is start number 9.
No, thank you.
Arkansas bred, who has struggled against...
Now we know where they go, the Arkansas breds.
They go to Louisville.
Right.
Blue Bank.
As you were saying, struggled against Arky breds.
Yeah.
9-1, good luck.
16-1 here on the 6.
Yeah, the only dirt race recently was at Moaning Valley and didn't do much running. Seems like a long shot.
Father and Gay at 5-1 has only been on synthetic.
Yeah, much like the 3. The difference is the 3 has much more speed than this horse. If I was going to use one of them, I'd use the 3.
Major Cam, another one, has only been on synthetic in 2 tries.
Yeah, but this horse has done nothing and taken no money, a total stab.
And here's the favorite, Cavalier. First try on dirt last start. It was against Better. Didn't do a lot of running.
Yeah,
it was 45-1.
Why is this horse 5-2 and the 4 is 4-1? I'm confused as to why this horse is favored.
You.
I'm not saying horse can't win. He has a chance, but I preferred the 4. He should be stalking.
Minute to post in the start of this Pick 5. Let's go to Paula Duca.
Yeah, guys, this is a Pick 5 I think that's going to pay in, I would say, the $5,000 range. I'm really projecting that because I really think you can only narrow down maybe the last race. This is a confusing race, and I tried to go short in this race because it was so confusing. I'm going to use the 4, T Will Not Pass, and the 7, Father and Gay, for Ben Colbert, both of his runners. It was just confusing in this whole field. I'm sort of with Andy. I don't understand why the 9, Kevlar, is getting all the money. A horse that really done no running at all. So I went 4-7 here, 4-5-7 in the next race. That is a wide open fare. I like high fare, yes to Mischief, maybe to get to the front end. Race number 7, the 2 did get scratched, so we'll shorten that field to 5, 7, and 8. I do like that field. I think World Cruiser, McGolden, Hashtag the Wonder, get you through race number 7. Race number 8 is salty. Again, there are 10 horses that can win that race. Buck Moon as fast as can be, Masquerade as well, so I went deep in there. Like I said, in race number 9, I singled the 11. Norm Cassie's barn is very, very hot. If you got a little bit more money, I would throw in the 10. That's really the only field I thought you can narrow down. I'm hoping I can get through this race with just 2 horses.
All right, Paulie, good luck. Yeah, that 8th race.
That's a good race.
Very good race. I'm excited to see Masquerade return for Al Stall.
Yeah, hasn't run since the Travers. Pretty unusual to see. Promise Keeper's been running okay for Todd Pletcher. He did not draw particularly well in this race. And a horse that I had liked a little last year, Big Lake, who I think I bet in the Rebel when he finished 3rd. Probably need him for 2nd.
Yeah, he ran a big race on a race that was taken off the turf.
Yeah, he looked like he was going to be decent as a 3-year-old. I'm interested to see what he does in here. Thought he was okay at a little bit of a price.
That's a good one. That's at 4:22 Eastern time. That's the 8th on the card at Churchill. Of course, part of this Pick 5. It's still a horse who was 45-1 last start, for a little bit tougher, but never really seem to pick up his feet much in that race.
Yeah, I mean, if he can get a good break and get over and stalk the 3, he can get good position. But those are big ifs, and there's no confidence at all this horse wants to go long. He's a surprising 3-1 favorite, at least in my opinion.
Meanwhile, here's Jackie's back, the Arkansas bred. Tough task for him in here.
Yeah.
He's been overmatched against bottom-level state-bred runners.
13-1 feels like an underlay, doesn't it?
A little bit. You see that name. It's not Jackie's Warrior.
No. But he's back.
He is back, and he's in open company today. We'll see how it goes for him. T-Not past the 4. Maybe the way to go in here for Ben Colebrook. Pick 5 begins here in this 5th. Travis Stone the call.
Pass. And Kevlar. They're in the gate. And they're off. T-Not pass away well. Cindy Storm is there. Jackie's back and Father and Gay from the outside post. Kevlar tries to get a forward spot 2. Into the first turn, and T-Not pass is the quickest. And Cindy Storm moves with that one, and they share the lead early on. 2 lengths back to Father and Gay, a bit wide on that opening turn, racing up into 3rd with Jackie's back right there to 4th. They're only 2 lengths off the lead, and they're together. A margin of 4 back to Kevlar, who comes away in 5th. Major Kim is 6th, Blue Bank in 7th, Keep On is 8th, and it is a long way back. At least 15 lengths back to Hickory Court, completely outrun. The opening quarter goes in 23 and 4. There's 5 furlongs remaining. Cindy Storm the leader, but it's a narrow lead. T-Not pass is stalking intently from 2nd. Father and Gay is wide while 3rd. Major Cam sneaking through underneath, up to take over 4th past the half-mile pole. Kevlar is 3 or 4 wide, racing up from 5th. Jackie's back is under pressure 6th. Blue Bank in 7th. 5 back to Keep On, and still completely outrun is Hickory Court. The half-mile time in 48 and 3/5 seconds. They round the far turn. T-Not pass has come away with the lead. Cindy Storm couldn't keep up. Father and Gay comes on 2 wide. Kevlar poised 3 wide by the quarter pole. Major Cam's in behind them. Top of the stretch. T-Not pass set down and opens up. Kevlar putting in a run now. Kevlar's up into 2nd. Major Cam's now 3rd. 1 furlong to go, and T-Not pass repels the challenge of Kevlar and opens back up. It's T-Not pass clear by 2. Kevlar 2nd, Major Cam 3rd, and it's that way on the wire. T-Not pass the winner. 2 lengths in the end. Kevlar 2nd, Major Cam 3rd, and Father and Gay was 4th.
T-Not pass and the 9, both dropping out of 20 maiden claiming races. They run 1-2.
And I got to say the 9 ran better than I thought he would. Because he had a bit of a wide trip, hung out there, and he actually did a good job. You could see the apprentice, Diaz, had a ton of horse on him, and saying to you that 7-pound apprentice already styling coming into the stretch, and he was able to open up and hold off a very game Kevlar. Kevlar ran well in there, but T-Not pass went it up the favorite as we expected. Got it done.
Trained by Ben Colebrook, 5th time out, able to break his maiden.
Former assistant to the legendary Christophe Clement.
He's got a big weekend coming up.
He does.
One of the best horses in his barn we're going to see in the Grade 1 Man of War in Gufo. T-Not passed the victory to start off the pick 5 as the second choice on the board. Well, the prices when we come back. Big test ahead in her 4-year-old debut from last year's test winner, Bella Sofia. First start back since the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint for Rudy Rodriguez. A preview coming up.
Following C, pouring it on here in the stretch. Impressive to win the Grade 2 Vosburg. Following C,
Smile Happy has kicked it into high gear, and Smile Happy with a powerful performance wins by 2.5.
Eclipse champion Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Monmouth Park's summer season rolls on with live racing action every weekend in May. Win early and often with our Win Early Pick 5. First race, 12:15. Home to full competitive fields and big paydays, Monmouth Park continues to prove itself as a place to profit. New for 2022, on-site customers can lock in odds with fixed odds wagering at Monmouth Park Racetrack.
Global Campaign by 2, and Global Campaign will win the Grade 1 Woodward. It is Global Campaign holding on to the lead. Global Campaign won the Peter Pan.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back on America's Day at the Races. We talked about at the top of the show what a big weekend we have coming up. It includes the Grade 3 Vagrancy in the Filly Mare Sprint Division and the return of Bella Sophia, last year's test winner for Rudy Rodriguez. It'll be her first start back since the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint, in which she finished 4th.
And if you're Rudy Rodriguez, you're very happy with the drawing outside the other speed, Miss Brazil. She's fast and she's good. If she runs her decent races, she's probably going to win this race. Rudy Rodriguez's numbers off 4 to 8 month layoffs and dirt sprints not that strong. So maybe a little bit of a cause for pause that maybe she could need a race, but she's an unusually good horse. An horse that won her debut as well, so she's run well fresh. And Greg, I'm not trying to beat her.
Luis Saez, who won the test aboard her, he'll be back aboard for the return. And just fun to see big names like this return, but we'll see if she's up to the task. She is going to have that speedster right inside of her, Miss Brazil, in this race. Do you believe it comes down to one of these two?
Well, I mean, Frank's Roquette is good enough. She just doesn't win anymore, you know? I mean, she got wired last time. I always want to like Miss Brazil. I've always been a fan of hers, but she did ride a very, very strong inside bias last time out, which I think made her victory look better than it was, but she's run good races in the past, and maybe she needed the race a little bit.
Still trying to win tomorrow against a legitimate Grade 1 winner, multiple graded stakes winner. We'll just see how good Bella Sophia is off the bench, and does she take that move forward from 3 to 4?
Well, that's always the question, right? And I mean, potentially she could be a real player in that division. There's some nice horses in that division, but I think the older filly and mare sprinters, there's no killer out there. There's no Gamine out there. There's no Serengeti Empress out there right now that at least I can think of. Some nice horses, no doubt about it. But this is a horse that has every right to be a huge player in that division. I'm sure Rudy Rodriguez's goal is to win the 7 furlong race at Saratoga for the older horses, Ballerina, this summer.
And then get back
to the Breeders' Cup.
To the Breeders'
and run
Cup.
a little better this
certainly
time.
Some unfinished business, no question. It is part of a cross-country Pick 5 sequence. Vagrancy is going to kick that off. That's race 3 on the card tomorrow. So an early beginning to this cross-country all stakes, all graded stakes. Pick 5. Look at this lineup. Vagrancy, Run Happy. That showdown between Yabir and Gaffo and the Man of War. The Belmont Stakes Prep, the Peter Pan, and the Bogey, which looks like Chad Brown is very strong-handed.
Yeah, he looks pretty good in the Bogey. He feels like he may continue his streak of running 1-2 in stakes with those two for Peter Brandt. Peter Brandt and Chad Brown, I mean, the amount of good fillies on the turf they have, older fillies and mares on the turf, it's scary. Scary.
Lamista Rogier, we're going to see in that race tomorrow. 5th at Belmont coming up next. It's 7 minutes away. It starts till late Pick 5. Let's go down to Acacia.
An intriguing race here because you wonder who's going to take a step forward. The number 3 in You Can't Handle This is first off the claim for Rudy Rodriguez. And actually, I didn't see her first time out, but I'm really intrigued by her in here first off the claim for Rudy. She's dappled out from head to toe. She's been very sharp in here. She did saddle with the pony alongside her to keep her calm, but she's really not done anything naughty. She's just been a very energetic type, and I think suits this 6.5 furlong sprint quite well. She took money when with Rob Atras on debut, totally left up the break from the inside post and was a distant third. I would expect some natural improvement from her second time out. The number 5 Heels Together goes back to the main track, and she does take a drop in class. Lots of changes for her today as well. She didn't strike me as a turf horse really last time out. She always makes a nice physical impression, but one thing I've kind of noticed about her is that she is one that does seem a little bit unsure of herself in the preliminaries, and maybe in the connections fooling around with the equipment, that's trying to figure out what she is and how she can stay focused and kind of show a little bit more of that dominance, as she doesn't seem to show that as much. So we'll see if getting back to the surface that she physically does look like she prefers. She did get out pretty badly last time and totally blew the brake, and I noticed that she is wearing a Houghton bit, that extra bar under the chin today, to provide her rider Dylan Davis a little bit more control. The 8 Positive Sum, here's another one that it looks like they're trying to figure her out, and she doesn't seem to be an easy filly to manage. She's very, very sharp, much as she was when I saw her on debut. A little bit tricky getting the tack on today. She's very energetic. She seems to be one that doesn't carry a lot of condition from race to race. She hasn't done much running yet on turf or on dirt. Physically, I do like her better on the dirt, but as you can see, she's really on her toes. So hopefully Manny Franco can keep her settled and focused prior to the race, as she hasn't shown much focus here in the paddock, Greg.
All right, Acacia, thank you. It's a rare runner from Chad Brown and Klarovich that has not panned out, that now is dropping in for a tag. As we're 5 minutes to post, coming through the tunnel. Post parade coming up shortly for this 5th here at Belmont, the start of the late pick 5. We're going to be saying goodbye for a little bit to those watching on FS2. We're going to be back with you on FS2 at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. You can continue to watch the program on Naira Bets, also on our YouTube page at New York Racing Association.
This is a very tough maiden 40. You know, yesterday we had a very weak maiden 20, some maiden claiming races. I think the 4, the 5, the 6, the 7, and 8 all can win this race. I'd be shocked if the inside 3 were effective. I guess the 1 has an outside chance to get a small piece in here. But I think there's cases to be made for a lot of horses here, Greg.
You surprised at the price on the 5 Heels Together, just by the fact that who she's run against?
I think she should be favored here. Now, there's a ludicrous amount of money on the 2 Affalata, who has close to 0 chance in here, and the board is going to change as we get closer. She's a big price in multis, as she should be.
Again, start of this late pick 5 coming up. We're going to be saying goodbye to those on FS2. We're back again on FS2, 5 Eastern Time. In the meantime, go to Naira Bets, go to our YouTube page, New York Racing Association, and we'll see you at 5 Eastern. We're going to pause briefly. Other audiences sticking with us. And we'll bring you this post parade coming up momentarily. 3 minutes to post here in this 5th at Belmont. Wide open betting race here in race 5. 7-2. Affalata, the one to beat with Joel Rosario. Again, FS2, we'll see you back 5 Eastern Time with more America's Day at the Races. Welcome to America's Day at the Races, program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Welcome to those just joining us on Bally's SoCal. Good to have you with us. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling. Our best racing of the afternoon still to come. Our late pick 5 beginning in the race here coming up, and it is wide open. Our favorite on the board in this maiden claiming group, 7-2 right now.
Yeah, the 5-horse horse that you and I both think should be favored in this race. It's hard to trust Heels Together, the 5. She's a horse that has so many gaps in her starts, but her best race would win this. Will she run her best race? And there are a bunch of fuzzies that could move forward. I'm taking a small shot with the 7, Floralise.
Start number 2, yeah, for Mark Hennig with that filly by Carpe Diem. You can play all the races coming up, including this pick 5 that starts right here with Naira Bets. If you have not done so already, no better time. Take advantage of that offer. $200 deposit match sign-up bonus with that promo code STAKES200 at NairaBets.com or on the Naira Bets app. You can bet any track, anywhere, anytime, including this late pick 5. Look at the current odds. So it is the 5. Heels Together. First time in for a claiming tag. Blinkers coming off. Christophe Clement, Dylan Davis, 7-2 favorite.
Yeah, I mean, she seems like a legitimate favorite. There's so many question marks. The 6, Saratoga Commando, we're looking at right now. I mean, this horse did not run a particularly strong race first time out, but ran reasonably well. Jose Ortiz was between a rock and a hard place. He had to send up the horse in the rail. The horse in the rail is a horse named Fouette, who was a heavily bet first-time star for Steve Asmussen. If he didn't go after that horse, he was never going to beat her. As it turned out, he did finish ahead of her, but a horse from way, way back for Gary Gullo, who's since retired from training, Union Gables, caught the horse at the wire. That was 21 months ago, and for Chad Brown, I'm sure Rudy Rodriguez would like to do well with this horse, same ownership group having the horse. But that wasn't even a very good race, but maybe this horse off a long layoff will get it done. But right now, pretty chilly on the board, huh?
Yeah, 6-1. It was a straight maiden 2-year-old race at Saratoga, though. And if the horse has progressed at all off of that, just getting older and improving. We'll see, long time off.
She's getting older.
Yeah.
She's getting older,
Well,
working the party circuit.
That was a former Chad Brown filly. This is a current Chad Brown filly. And talk to us about this move for Chad Brown.
Well, yesterday he had a winner. It was 1 for 13. Now it's 2 for 14, as he won yesterday at 1-2 odds. But maiden special weight to maiden claimer going turf to dirt at Naira over the last 5 years for a trainer that does nothing but win and has high percentage in anything. Most of the time when he makes this move, it's kind of dumping them. Now, normally I'd say, well, like yesterday's, probably the right move to make this drop. And I won't be shocked if she's effective, but she didn't find herself in an easy field. Yesterday she was 1-2, the winner, because she was running against nobody. This race, there's too many possible horses for this horse to be a likely winner, but not impossible.
Big drop down in class for this one here at 9-2 that just did not show much ability, though, in the dirt.
No, she hasn't. There is clearly a massive story on the 2 Affalata. Either somebody has some sharp bettor, has an idea on this horse, or there's a big tip. And I know Joel Rosario is riding, but Affalata, what was her morning line? Do you know, Greg?
8-1.
Yeah, and that was conservative. She opened the favorite. She's a big price in multi-race bets. She drifted up to 9-2, and now she's back down to 7-2. So while I can't pick her on paper, this money makes me think she's going to outrun her odds.
Let's head downstairs, check in with Acacia Clement.
Wanted to touch on the 2 big layoff runners in Saratoga Commando and Floralise, starting with Saratoga Commando, who did run a credible race as a 2-year-old, and I remember her from then being a kind of stockier type of individual. So the fact that at first glance to me here, she doesn't necessarily look 100% fit, I'm not going to put too much stock into that because I think that that's just how she is. Now, it is a big layoff for her, but she has grown. She's filled out. She had a lovely warm-up out there under Jose Gomez, who was just giving her some pats, keeping her focused, and she really has, I think, taken that step forward as she does come back now off of that layoff from August of 2020. If she's ready to run, I think that she's one of the layoff runners that I did prefer. The 7 Floralise off really slow from the inside post on her debut. I noticed in the stretch that she kind of stuck her tail straight out, looked very uncomfortable there, and she does come back off of a freshening since the end of January. Another one that, and I don't know her, having not seen her before, but she just doesn't look like she's 100% fit to me coming back, and she's one that I'd want to see back on the racetrack after a start off of that bit of a layoff, Greg.
Acacia, thank you. Continuing to load up here in a race that kicks off this late pick 5. Favorite Heels Together, first time in for a claiming tag, and that's the case with Saratoga Commando, the 6, the 7 Floralise, and the 8 Positive Sum. See how it plays out Dylan Davis, by the way, on Heels Together. Could be a big one for him. We'll explain more on that in a moment. Let's go upstairs. John Imbrial, the call. Race 5 from Belmont.
They're in the gate. And they're off. Hesitant start for number 2, Afilada, and steadying there after the start, number 7, Fleur Elise. You Can't Handle This is out for the early lead with Tequila and Saratoga Commando. Heads apart, second and third. Positive Sum is next in fourth, followed by Heels Together in fifth. It's almost 3 lengths back to School of Thought, and another 3 to the 2 trailers, Fleur Elise and Afilada. Opening quarter, 22-2. You Can't Handle This in front here by a neck. Saratoga Commando on the outside runs in second, and Tequila is right there in third. It's 4 lengths now. Back to Positive Sum and another 5 to Heels Together as they continue around the turn and head for the head of the stretch. On the inside, You Can't Handle This. On the outside, Saratoga Commando. Tequila has dropped 3 lengths behind. And then comes Heels Together. And down at the rail is Afilada. Half mile in 46-2. You Can't Handle This. Saratoga Commando. Tequila looking to get back into it again. Heels Together is coming on the extreme outside. And then Afilada. It is Heels Together who has come away with the lead inside the 16th pole. It is Heels Together who's going to get her first career win. And this will be career win number 1,000 for jockey Dylan Davis.
And that's the more I was alluding to for Dylan here. Big milestone in his career. Well done. Heels Together teams up with Christophe Clement for the win.
Got the right trip as this race just completely fell apart in the late stages. And the horses that were well back ended up finishing up towards the front. And a very logical horse goes off at a very, very decent 3-1 in this race. It does feel like the story horse Afilada might have sucked up and gotten second in this race as well. The money clearly was based on something. Not in the PPs, I'll tell you that. But Heels Together gets it done. And congratulations to Dylan Davis on his 1,000th win.
5-2, 4-3. We keep talking about all these big milestones in his career. First Grouper Grade 1 of his career came last year, teaming up with Christophe Clement. First riding title for the 27-year-old at the Aqueduct meeting. And now number 1,000 in his career. He has been rapidly improving ever since he went out with injury. He has come back on a mission. 5-2, 4-3. Heels Together goes off at 3-1.
Yeah, and just a very logical horse. Gets it done here for Christophe Clement. Finished second in the last race. Gets the win here. A very good ride by Joel Rosario and taking advantage of the race sort of falling apart. Gets the second over Tequila.
Hard spun filly. Class relief. And it pays off. Picture time for Hooley Racing Stable. Dylan and Christophe Clement here to kick off this late pick 5 at 3-1. We're going to take a timeout. When we return, Breeders' Cup Juvenile Sprint winner. Returning Twilight Gleaming in the stakes feature turf sprint at Churchill on the weekend. We'll preview it next.
Warfront. This son of Danzig ranks among the world's elite sires, ranked #1 by percentage of stakes winners, graded stakes winners, and Grade 1 winners. No stallion has a better strike rate. Recent top runners include Group 1 winner Homesman, graded stakes winners Master of Foxhounds, Ancient Rome, and Bombard. Plus Annapolis, who became his sire's 100th stakes winner. In the auction ring, his progeny continued to command top dollar. Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
We're back at America's Day at the Races. Good to have you with us. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling, Keisha Clement. We got Paula Duca out in Louisville, Churchill Downs. And a big moment here for Dylan Davis, number 1,000 in his young career, teaming up with Christophe Clement on heels together. Let's go downstairs to Acacia.
Very pleased to be joined by winning rider Dylan Davis. Dylan, congratulations. 1,000 wins for you. And we've talked about it a lot on this show. Your trajectory as a rider. How special is it to have this milestone here at Belmont?
It's incredible. You know, I'm doing what I love and couldn't have done it without hard work and dedication to the sport. Obviously, first comes first is the horses. Couldn't have done it without them. And after that, the horsemen, trainers, owners. I'm just enjoying it and having a great time. I love doing what I'm doing, and I just want to keep on going. So it feels good.
You got your first Grade 1 win last year on Mutamakina with Christophe, and 1,000 wins for him today. Talk a little bit more about the trainers on the backside here in New York that have supported you.
Sure, yeah, definitely. I forgot to mention my main supporter, Mike Migliori, my agent. He'd kill me if I didn't say his name, but Mutamakina, highlight, one of the horses, a highlight of my career, my first Grade 1 up in Woodbine. She was a special horse, and she's out in Ireland being a mama now, but she gave me a great ride. Thanks to Christophe to give me that stepping stone for in the graded stakes category, and I could show him that I can get the job done, and I'm not finished. So I'm looking to keep going up and beyond and keep on moving. So everything's great.
We love to hear that. Heels together with the nice win. Dylan, congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
And a special milestone victory down here. A little bit of emotion as well from Dylan Davis, Greg.
We talk about him a lot on this show of late, and with good reason. He's really changed the trajectory of his career ever since he went to the bench with injury.
No, I agree. I mean, it's not, and not that either one of us would say he wasn't a fine rider before that, but I'm with you, Greg. He's really stepped it up, and he's fast becoming one of the better riders on an exceptional circuit.
Early pick 5, $8,123.
I need to be a big Mets fan.
Seaver
and have the first winner.
Seaver was a little tough to come up with.
And have the first winner. Not easy.
Back to Churchill. Race 6. Start of the late pick 4. 30,000 claiming racehorses who have not won 2 lifetime in here, going 6.5 furlongs. And we start with the Paycheck Smile, Renee Amescua.
Hasn't been seen in over 4 months since racing at Oaklawn. I suppose the horse is not impossible based on the races. The lack of speed bothers me.
More Romance was third at this level, going longer last start.
Yeah, cuts back off the claim and is in for the waiver. Hasn't run in 6 months since that last race. We'll see. Is this a stepping stone? And this is another horse that has no early speed, at least on paper.
For Dawn was just a beaten favorite for 20 non-winners of Tua Keeneland.
An awfully short price for me to take a horse claim from Brad Cox. This horse is the speed, though, on paper at least.
Zamuda at 9-1. Put it all together, maiden claiming win at Oaklawn last out.
Every time this horse runs, I think of Andy Kaufman. His sidekick, Bob Zamuda.
High Fair, 4-1. Corey Lannery.
I thought High Fair was very, very logical in this race, actually, dropping down a little bit in the effort. And to me, this was the horse to beat.
Mike Coralina, big price with Marcelina Pedrosa, excuse me.
To be honest, this horse's races aren't that bad at Oaklawn. I mean, I'm not in love with her, but I'm not sure it's just 15-1 here.
Yeah, consistently hitting the board.
Why is this horse favored?
Yes to Mischief. Speed last start at this level. Distant second.
Okay, her early form in her career, her debut, was good. But she seems to have lost that for her. Last race, I thought was terrible. I don't know why she's favored.
Maybe it's just catch, maybe. But for Dawn, the 3 has a little bit of speed.
Yeah, I thought she'd be stalking the 3. I mean, it's Tyler Gaffalione. It feels to me like we need to look bet against Tyler Gaffalione horses.
By the way, 5-1 on 13 Stripes. The 8 Steve Asmussen coming out of a race that had multiple winners in front of her, but that was on synthetic. Let's go to Paula Duca for more.
Yeah, guys, when you look at the pace of this race, it looks like the 3 and the 7, and who are the two jockeys aboard? Flo the jockey, Florent Giroux, and Tyler Gaffalione. Those jockeys just take money here. That's just the bottom line. And it's going to be very interesting what Tyler wants to do. Does he want to push towards the front end with the 7, Yes to Mischief, and maybe try to put the 3 away very, very early? For Dawn, I'm not a fan of For Dawn, to be honest with you. I'm with Andy. Taking a horse out of the Brad Cox barn is tough to do. Zamuda, to me, is a horse that is moving in the right directions for Rick Hiles, and I also like the Jeff Hiles runner. I'm with Andy. That's my top selection in here for Corey Lannery. If the 3 and the 7 are able to go at it, the 5 has got some fresh legs, has a nice little race at Keeneland, and I think that horse can come from off the pace. I'm also going to use the outside horse for Asmussen, 13 Stripes. This horse has got some sneaky numbers on the Thorograph sheets, and you're getting a good price here.
And Paulie, thank you. Coming out of a productive race as well, 13 Stripes, 6-1 for the Asmussen barn.
I feel as though you could throw a blanket over a lot of these horses. I mean, at least from a buyer speed figure standpoint, a lot of these horses run very, very similar numbers. And in that case, you're probably supposed to fool around with the horse. I don't particularly love it here, but the number 6, My Coralino, is at least running figures that make sense with the other horse in the race. I don't love her. I do like the 5, High Fair, but this is a very tough race. Paul and I are in agreement that For Dawn seems dicey on the trainer change. And it's not like that horse is that good anyway. And I don't know what is so special about Yes to Mischief, but I guess Tyler Gaffalione, and for good reason, he has a lot of success, but you're not supposed to be taking 1.5 to 2 points lower on every horse just because he's riding them.
Meanwhile, Paulie briefly mentioned High Fair, short layoff, and that horse, that was a 40 non-winners at 2 at Keeneland, ran 3rd in there. If the 3 and the 7 do battle, could set up nice for the 5.
I agree. I think the 5 is. I think the 5 is a logical horse in here. I'm not in love with her chances, but I myself felt she was the horse to beat.
Travis Stone, the call. Here's the start of the pick 4 from Churchill Downs.
They're in the gate, and they're off. Squeeze back a bit at the start was High Fair. Yes to Mischief hits the ground running and quickly builds a 2-length lead. Sent on for speed right off the mark is she. 3 lengths in front now. For Dawn takes up the chase from 2nd. 13 Stripes comes away 3rd. Zamuda's racing 4th. A Paycheck Smile advancing toward the rail from 5th. My Coralina far outside 6th. High Fair in between horses 7th, and More Romance is at the back in 8th. The opening quarter goes 22-3. Yes to Mischief hits the far turn run in control, leading by 2.5. And then it's For Dawn tracking intently from 2nd. Inching forward is that one. My Coralina comes alive with a 3 or 4 wide bid. Zamuda's holding on to 3rd at the moment. More Romance has advanced toward the rail. And then it's High Fair at the quarter pole. Yes to Mischief confronted by For Dawn. For Dawn right up alongside of Yes to Mischief, who digs in. Yes to Mischief fending off that first challenge, still there. For Dawn set down for the drive. High Fair's closing in late. Down to the final 16th. Yes to Mischief is stubborn. Yes to Mischief and For Dawn. Farther out, More Romance late on the scene with Zamuda and High Fair, but it's Yes to Mischief, a determined winner over For Dawn, Zamuda, and High Fair.
Yeah, this 5-year-old mare, she dug in. She was tenacious on the front end, and she finishes the job here. Tyler Gaffalione, Joe Sharp.
Yeah, well, we nailed this one. I didn't like the 7. Well, I thought the 7 was over bet and got the money, and the 3 I didn't want any part of and finished 2nd here. I will say, watching this race, it feels like we're back to last year where just like nobody gains in some of these dirt races, right? Maybe it was just
like
the field.
Last year's Derby.
Yeah, and a lot of
you
races.
had that one.
A lot of it. So obviously it had nothing to do with the surface, Greg. We saw that a lot watching the races last year. Nobody's gaining, but maybe in this race, nobody could gain.
Yes to Mischief.
I'm not sure how
Resolute through the stretch for the win.
How this was clear the 3. I guess
Rode the maiden on synthetic. Finally got back on dirt in her 5-year-old debut. They tried her on turf next couple of starts, and now with a dirt victory to her name. We're going to have the prices from this one for you when we come back. Yes to Mischief, Tyler Gaffalione in the late pick 4 underway at Churchill.
They're off in the hopeful. Here's Basin now running up alongside, and Basin grabs the lead. Basin and Jose Ortiz are running away in the hopeful.
Be a part of the Racing Action Saturdays at Belmont Park with live money contests available online through Naira Bets. A $300 buy-in adds $200 to your contest account, while the other $100 funds the cash prize pool paid through 10th place. Follow along with the races on America's Day at the Races while keeping track of your leaderboard standings on Naira Bets. After the contest, your bankroll and prize winnings are shifted back into your Naira Bets account to start betting or withdraw. Register to play today at nairabets.com/contests.
You don't have to be a multi-millionaire to get into this game. You can have a few $1,000s and have fun with it. But with the bonds, you're actually going to win. I've had the opportunity to win multiple races. In fact, this year I won 2 times in one day, which is almost unheard of to be able to do. This is going to happen with them. You will get into the winner's circle in Saratoga. You will walk that horse in, and you will stand there, look at the crowd, and the bonds will take you there and get you into that winner's circle. And it won't cost you a lot of money.
New for Belmont Spring, the $3 triple play pick 3. Choose the winners of the last 3 races at Belmont Park every Sunday to win big. Plus, play on Naira Bets for a free $10 triple play bet. Go to naira.com/triple play for details. Back on America's Day at the Races, program brought to you by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime, even from Times Square.
You been there lately?
I have not.
You used to ride your bike there.
Not been into Manhattan for a while. That was surreal. I drove down 7th Avenue. Yeah.
Bizarre.
With no traffic whatsoever. It was a weird time, wasn't it?
Yeah, no doubt.
6th at Belmont. Pick 4 starts here. Mile on the turf. Allowance optional claiming race. And we welcome him for the first time today. We've missed you, Maggie Wolfendale.
Thanks, Greg. I've missed being here and obviously working with you guys too, but glad to be here in the paddock getting a peek at these horses, turf horses, going the mile on this Belmont turf course. And we'll start with layoff runner in number 8, Principled Stand, who does return as a gelding. And both of his Naira efforts last year, he would get himself pretty revved up. And he is, since they've tacked him, gotten a little bit more intense, but certainly with the gelding, it's kind of knock the edge off, proverbially speaking, as he's just a little bit more settled. Now, he hasn't grown much, but it's kind of typical of the Kingmans. They tend to be a little smaller in stature, but very well put together athletic types. And I do think he looks fit enough coming back. He's kind of 90% there. I think a race will move him forward, but possibly within this field, he might be able to be very effective, though he's done his best running when able to control. And we'll see if that happens here with the next horse I'll get to in number 5, Enid, as he does have a bit of early pace, but it's his first time on the turf. He doesn't look like a horse that should be quick away, and he's not that quick away. It's more that he kind of travels into race after about 1/8 of a mile. He gets fairly bullheaded about things, and you can see that. He's your typical kind of heavy Tisnow that wants to travel into the bridle. As far as the turf goes, I'm not that overly convinced because he is that bigger, heavier horse, a little more upright in his pasterns, but he does look as though he might be able to handle it. It's a good thing, I think, that the turf is more firm than what we've seen over the past 2 weeks here at Belmont, because if it was a heavier course, I'd question it, because he is he doesn't look like one that's going to be able to pull himself out of things. Behave yourself. But again, I like what I'm seeing. I just don't know if this is going to prove to be the right surface, though we'll see if his pace carries through on the turf too. Another horse I'm interested in is number 6, Easy Time. He's stretching back out in distance, and I love the mile for him. Actually, looking at him physically here, forward trainer Mark Cassie, he is a horse that he's not that big, but he's big enough and he's kind of more even in his frame and he has a lot of substance to him. And he's a horse that as a 3-year-old, this is his second start back as a 4-year-old, that had run fast enough races either on the turf or on the synthetic to have a major say here now as a 4-year-old. So I think he has moved forward a little bit since the only time I saw him, which was back in the Grade 2 Hall of Fame. And maybe he needed that last race going the 6 at Turfway Park. So I think he's just a little bit interesting, Greg, here. And I look for him to sit that nice tactical trip, possibly behind those early leaders.
Maggie, thanks. There's Mr. 1000. He'll be aboard Easy Time. Dylan Davis just collected that milestone victory back in race number 5. We'll see if he can go back-to-back coming up on, Easy Time. Interesting horse here at 9-1.
Yeah, I think he's in an awfully tough spot, but he has run some decent races. Going a little bit shorter, though, are his best races or on synthetic. I do think Tony Dutrow has a strong hand with Price Talk and Byland and Sea, and I think they're the 2 horses to beat. But listen, Enid is a horse that ran big on synthetic and has enough turf pedigree to suggest as the speed. The 3 High Tide's been in great form, and Principal Stand, who's over bet right now, is kind of a wild card.
Here's Byland and Sea. This is the last time out, April 14th. Had the lead in the stretch at this condition and just missed.
Yeah, I mean, he lost to a Trad Brown Juddmonte horse named Flop Shot, who's been, actually it's Peter Brand, excuse me, been somewhat of a disappointment while running fast races, but you'll see him in the PPs of Price Talk when Price Talk beat him 3 back. He got a very good ride from Manny Franco to run him down, but I think Byland and Sea gained in defeat in that race, and a mile should suit him perfectly. He's very logical here.
3-1 favorite with Joel Rosario aboard. Next door, High Tide. He's 6-1 for Carlos Martin, and he's put together back-to-back victories by combined 8 lengths.
He's in great form, and this was sort of an interesting ride by Jose Lezcano last time. He seized the bull by the horns, made this huge, aggressive mid-move to seize control of the race, and he's run very well in both his last 2 starts. But he's coming back 7 days after this effort. Carlos Martin's going to kind of strike while the iron is hot. The competition is getting significantly deeper to today's race. So he's going to have to run every bit as well as he's run, if not better. And that's not going to be an easy thing to do.
Yeah, that's the bigger problem who he's facing. But yeah, quick comeback too, always interesting. See if he can make it 3 in a row, 6-1 right now as we take a look at Soulmate. Big long shot outside, as is Famished.
I'll tell you what about Famished, and I don't think he can win this race, but he is in career form since being claimed by Patrick Quick. The 2 last races he's run on dirt and turf have been 2 of the faster races he's ever run. And he's in good form. I just don't think he can handle horses of this caliber.
Coming through the tunnel, post parade here coming up. And there's Byland and Sea, one of a pair of runners from the Tony Dutrow barn. And it's Byland and Sea favored with Rosario. We showed you that April 14th effort last time out. See what he does here.
No, there's nothing not to like about this horse. I prefer the other horse for Tony Dutrow, but his form has been very good. I just think if the other one runs his good race, he's too good for these.
You mentioned the quick comeback for High Tide, turning around in a week.
Yep, we'll see. Jose Lezcano opts for this one over Byland and Sea. Not sure if he made that choice, though.
The other Dutrow runner, the stablemate to Byland and Sea, Price Talk.
He was wide last time, and at a time you needed to be inside on the turf courses, 2 far, 2 back. His race 3 back will beat these.
That was a win over Flop Shot, who you were mentioning had beat Byland and Sea. Enid, really intriguing with the numbers he's been running on synthetic.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if the turf horse, the Dam did win on the turf, so there's a possibility. And the last race was strong, and I got to think Enid's going to be in front.
Easy Time, 10-1.
The synthetic to turf move at Naira for Mark Cassie, 0 for 11 over the last 5 years, 3 in the money.
Klarovich, Chad Brown, Principled Stand making his 5-year-old debut.
Started his career out looking like he could be a very, very good runner. He's just had too many stops and starts. He's probably not the speed as a gelding this time, but there's a chance that he could be a horse that could move forward.
Soulmate, big price, 19-1 for John Pregman Jr.
Yeah, he's just not good enough to contend with these. Not that he's not talented. This is just too tough a field.
And you pointed out, Famished has made a big turnaround for Patrick Quick.
I mean, I don't like him here, but he didn't run that badly, and he is 20-1 if you want to throw him in somewhere in the bottom. This is a very tough field. This is a very, very deep field and a tough field, but his form is great. I mean, Pat Quick's done this horse has really flourished for him.
Anthony Dutrow with two major players in this sixth here at Belmont. Let's go down to Maggie.
And pleased to be joined by Tony Dutrow. And Tony, we'll start with your horses in here before we get to the big girl tomorrow, Miss Brazil in the Vagrancy. But By Land and Sea, I thought had a little bit of trouble at the start, and then we saw him rush up. How much of an ill effect, he still ran well, though, did that have on where he finished that day?
Yeah, unfortunately, he did. He went down at the start and actually grabbed his quarter a little bit. Not too bad at all, but he went down, and then he just took off with Lizcano. He just took off with him and run right up to the lead. And sure, finishing up, I'm sure that was a factor that was detrimental to the outcome of the race. But anyway, that's horse racing, I guess.
Nothing goes ever according to plan, but plan here. You have Joel Rosario today. Are you looking for him to have a forward position?
Looked like there was. I didn't say a word to Rosario. I asked him if he read the race. He told me yeah. So at that point, I didn't say anything. I don't want to influence them. I don't want them on my mind. Those guys are, they're Hall of Famers. They're extremely good riders. So I don't want to get in their way. But when I thought there was plenty enough speed in the race that he would be somewhat forwardly, but I thought in a comfortable position with his post position.
Well, getting to tomorrow, I thought, you talk about the Hall of Fame riders, the Eclipse Award-winning riders, but you've been very loyal to Eric Cancel aboard Miss Brazil. He broke her maiden. He's, won on her multiple times, including the Ruthless. So he seems to fit her quite well, Tony.
I think so too, Maggie. She does very well with Eric. There was some. You're right. There was some big-time all-star jockeys that we could have gone to in the Vagrancy with the short field tomorrow, but Eric does. He gets along with her well. She runs very well for him, and I changed it once when I went to IRAD, and that worked, but she was so much the best that day. But anyway, IRAD fits her well, and I thought I agree with you.
Stick with what works. But she came back with a plum in her 4-year-old bow. How is she coming out of that race? What can we expect tomorrow?
Maggie, I've never seen her better. I've never seen her moving any better. She's developed into her 4-year-old year. She looks fantastic, as you'll see her tomorrow. I couldn't be happier with her, but she is coming back from a lengthy layoff in 20 days or 22 days, and that could be a factor, but I couldn't be happier with her, that aside.
Well, Tony, wishing you the best of luck with her tomorrow, and you're two here. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, son.
All right, always a pleasure to catch up with one of my hometown crew, Greg, fellow Marylander, Tony Dutrow.
And, tomorrow, Miss Brazil, when she did go against Bella Sofia, broke through the gate, wide trip. She was right there with her. She wasn't far behind her.
I'm a Miss Brazil fan, and I'm a Tony fan as well, so nothing would make me happier than seeing Tony score the upset or win in any big race or any race, really. And I think he's got a huge chance. I think he's got a good chance to run 1-2 in today's race, as a matter of fact, coming up right now. He's an excellent horseman. And, of course, he and Maggie go back a long, long way. And one thing about people from Baltimore, you don't have to listen to them for too long before you can tell exactly where they're from.
9-5 and 7-2 on Dutrow's two runners in here. There's one of them, the 2, the 4. Javier Castellano. He's got a pretty good duo in here with Castellano and Rosario riding.
I prefer Price Talk. And I think Price Talk's a horse that you can make legitimate excuses for his last 2 races. I mean, last time out, you really needed to save ground to be effective on the turf course when he first opened at Aqueduct. He was 3 wide in the first turn, 3 to 4 wide in the second turn. I just had no chance the way the race developed. The time before that, they tried him at 1 mile and 3/8. I totally get taking a chance. He's a kitten's joy. Why not stretch him out? It didn't work out. But the first race off the claim for Tony was gigantic and beating Flopshot. Runs back to that race, and I think he's going to win this race. And 7-2 to me seems like a very fair price. The fact that he's the same price at Principal Stand, either I'm making a big mistake, which is always possible, or he's a massive overlay as he drops down to 3-1. Not taking his his stablemate lightly. I respect By Land and Sea. I totally do. I just happen to prefer Price Talk.
Power of Chad Brown and Klarovich with Principal Stand, the 8. Yet 7-2. Let's go back down to Maggie.
Well, I can see number 4 in here, Price Talk, winning. I liked him last time, but today, he's gone the wrong way, actually. He's gotten really hot, a lot of kidney sweat. He's lost all his conditioning behind the saddle, and his coat doesn't look as good. And this is the time of year it should look good. So for me, I did prefer the other Tony Dutrow, guys.
Maggie, thanks. And that other Tony Dutrow is the 2. By Land and Sea as the inside post with Rosario. Let's go upstairs. Johnny and Brielle, the call.
And they're off. Principal Stand sent out for the early lead. Enid now moves up alongside of Soulmate. Soulmate is in second. By Land and Sea advances at the rail. Enid now back running in fourth. Then Price Talk in fifth, 3 lengths to Easy Time in sixth, followed by Famished in seventh. And at the back of the pack is the trailer, High Tide. Principal Stand leads here by a little more than a length. By Land and Sea is at the rail, second by a head. Soulmate on the outside in third, the quarter one in 22 and 4. Enid sits in fourth, followed next by Price Talk in fifth. Famish advances at the rail. Then comes Easy Time, and High Tide is the trailer. Principal Stand continues to show the way here. Ran the half in 46 and 1. It's Principal Stand on top with Soulmate on the outside in second. By Land and Sea is down at the rail and in third, followed by Enid, Price Talk, and Famished. Principled Stand holds the lead, coming to the top of the stretch. Soulmate is on the outside. By Land and Sea will need some racing room down at the rail. 3/4 in 9 and 4. They're in the stretch. It is Principled Stand who has the lead. By Land and Sea comes on through down on the inside. Then Soulmate, followed by Enid on the outside, Price Talk, and then High Tide. They're all still chasing Principal Stand. Here comes By Land and Sea with one last surge on the outside. Photo finish. It looked like Principal Stand held on, but it's a photo with By Land and Sea.
Welcome back. 5-year-old debut for Principled Stand. Aggressive ride. Irad Ortiz Jr. for Chad Brown and Klarovich.
I agree. Give a big hand to Irad. He made sure nobody else was going to the front. He broke like a shot. He said, "I'm going to the front. They're gonna beat me. They're gonna beat me from behind." And By Land and By Sea had a perfect trip up the rail. And did it take him a few seconds to get out? Yeah, but he got out in time. He just couldn't catch this horse. I think they both ran well, and I think Price Talk ran a winning race in the sense that he was trying to close wide. The first 2 horses saved ground the whole way, and he made a 3-4 wide run into it. So there's an argument he may have run the best race. He just didn't have the best of trips.
Principled Stand with the first 2 starts of his career. Defeated Saratoga. We didn't see him since September of last year. This was a nice comeback against, this was a good group on the grass. Holding off a couple of talented Tony Dutrow runners.
I mean, the two had plenty of time to get to him, to be honest.
8-2-4 finish. 7-2 on Principled Stand. New gelding. Now 3 for 4 in his career. And we'll see what's next for this horse. Was able to take advantage on the front end. 133 flat the final time. We're going to preview the audition for the Belmont Stakes. Peter Pan coming up this weekend. Grade 3. Seems like it's wide open. We the People electability. They might have other thoughts.
Maximum Security proves he's the real deal with a gate-to-wire win in the Florida Derby.
Champion 3-year-old.
Maximum Security has won the TVG.com Haskell Invitational.
11 triple-digit buyers.
Maximum Security. He smoked them in the Cigar Mile.
Grade 1 winning 4-year-old.
Maximum Security takes them all the way in the TVG Pacific Classic.
Secure your mare's future. Maximum Security.
son of Warfront. The sons have done well. War Command, The Factor, Declaration of War. There have been a number of sons now that seem to be getting it done. He himself was, again, versatile like Catholic boy. I mean, he won the Preakness.
But nothing stood in his way. War of Will won the Preakness.
He came back at 4 and won a grade 1 on the turf, going a mile. You know, he's got a big page that's from one of the good Niarchos families.
Look, he was a grade 1 stakes horse at 2. He was a classic winner on dirt at 3. He won a grade 1 on turf at 4. He offers that versatility. He looks a lot like Warfront with a little more stretch and a little more leg. And I know a lot of the knocks against the Warfronts are that sometimes a little small, a little racy. If he throws Warfront's ability and talent with his kind of physique, I think we'll be in really good shape.
Back on America's Day of the Races, program brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. 6th at Belmont, Irad Ortiz Jr. had one thing on his mind: get to the front. Principled stand, gate to wire for the win, and this was on the Widener. Widener rail out 27 feet today. That didn't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, whether or not he's a horse that can step up and compete at higher levels is another question. But this is a real step forward for him. This is a horse that's had trouble staying on the racetrack, and he debuts in January of his 4-year-old year. He comes back here 3 months later, runs a respectable race, but doesn't show up again for a long time. Chased a fast pace last time out, but now we don't see him for another almost 8 to 9 months. He ran today, went to the front, and this was the best effort he's ever put in because he beat some pretty good horses. So perhaps if he can step forward a little bit, maybe he could do some good things. We'll see.
3 today for Irad Ortiz Jr. Take a look at the late pick 5 follow along. Heels together began it. Principal stand now, $9.90 with still 3 legs remaining. And that final race, I don't know what you do in the finale at Belmont.
It's the last race is a total crapshoot. When you think this pick 6 began with that big priced winner, and neither of the last 2 horses were easy. They were both horses you could use, but you probably had to spread a little to get to them. You got to think this pick 6, as you stated at the beginning, good chance of carrying.
Yeah. Churchill, race 7, mile and an eighth on the turf, maiden special weight, and here's Habitus.
Yeah, this horse has just had a lot of chances, and not really for me.
Former Chad Brown runner here, now with Jack Sisterson.
This horse got bet first time out. I'm not exactly sure why, though the Dam was a very good turf horse. Did no running. We'll see if it's different today.
Tolkien, 23 to 1-0 for 11 on the grass.
This one's for all the hobbits, right?
Yep. Lord of the Rings fans. World Cruiser. This horse was second to Mira Mission. It was just second to the Grade 1 Turf Classic.
Well, I liked Kerouac in this horse. With Kerouac scratched, I'm on World Cruiser.
9 to 2. 0 for 8 on the turf, but has some big efforts. Goulayne, start number 2 in turf debut.
The Dam was a multiple winner, winning 6 and 19 in the turf, but Bernardini not a very effective turf sire.
It produced a 6-time winner on the turf as well. McGolden for Brendan Walsh. 9 to 5 here.
It's, McTappet and Golden Sense. I'm looking at the name. Big price last time out and did improve a lot.
Hashtag No Wonder was chasing a gate-to-wire winner from Mark Cassey last time out.
Yep. You stole the words right out of my mouth. And frankly, off the last couple races, not impossible here.
Rule the Empire, 23 to 1, big number.
Off the races, this one's a little hard to make.
Adam Beschizza will ride. Just try number 2 on the turf for Lola's Bow.
Tough post. Tough when you go from the rail to far outside.
It was 90 to 1 last time out.
Right.
24 to 1 today. So minute to post here in the 7th. Let's check in with Paulie.
Yeah, guys, what makes this race so difficult, and I think the reason why the favorite is the 7, McGolden, is everybody in this race besides the 1, 3, and 10 have dropped in for a tag, which means they've been on up for sale in the claiming ranks, where the 7, McGolden, did improve second time out and ran a good race at 24 to 1 with Jareth Loveberry. Now you get Gabriel Saez aboard, and a horse that did not get dismissed first time out either in a 9-horse field. Now, the 8 hashtag No Wonder is not a kind of horse I love to play. This horse dropped for maiden 35, but they added blinkers last time. They get 11 hole out of 12, which is not a good position to have at Gulfstream Park, and the horse run a bang-up second. So I thought maybe with Tyler Gaffleone getting aboard, obvious second choice. My other horse in here was going to be World Cruiser. I know that this is a horse that's been running for Made 50 out in California for a very, very sharp barn in Eddie Truman, who's very, very good. Christophe Clement had this horse at one time at Gulfstream Park. Brittany Vandenberg does a great job. She gets Joe Rocco aboard. I really saw this race 7-8. I'm kind of reaching with the 5 to maybe spice up this late pick 5, guys.
So Paulie just gave us the first 3 choices there. You know, I guess with Kinchin on, we need another Chalky Weasel, Paulie.
Well, we both
I don't disagree. I'm teasing him.
No, back to the 5, though, for a minute. He said he was reaching with the 5. We both like the 5.
No, I don't think he's reaching at all. In fact, I think of the 3 horses, he's not just the best price, he's probably the best value at 5-1. And I don't have any argument that those are the 3 likeliest. I mean, it's just the other thing about the 3 horses the ball picks, and one of the reasons they're the short prices is it's not easy to make a case for anybody else in this race. Unless you think there was something up with Rio King and you want to bet him because he got bet first time for Chad Brown, but you almost wonder if he was bet first time because it was Chad Brown.
Yeah. Here's hashtag no wonder. So 2-1, chase this, as we mentioned, this gate to wire winner, Forever Super, and we're going to show you that race. It was April 9th at Gulfstream, and tough to run down the lone speed here.
Yes. Don't love those deep closers. Carlos Davis wins at a high percentage. In some cases, though, he hasn't been doing a lot of damage so far this year. The race was fine, as you pointed out. He's run against good enough horses that he's a contender in this race. I mean, I guess what McGolden has going for him over the 5 and 8 is that he's only run twice. And the 5 and 8 have both had plenty of chances.
I don't know. Is McGolden going to be the one in front here? There's not much pace in this race.
Let's go to the pace projector. The pace projector had Kerouac in front. He's not running. So, yeah, it has McGolden and Rule the Empire as the 2 speeds. So, yeah, he could be in front. You make a great point.
Well, might be.
I don't like McGolden as a name for a horse. I'm sorry. I get where it comes from. McTappet, Golden Sense.
Makes you think of burgers, golden arches.
I wasn't going to go there. I'm trying to think what name we could come up with for this horse.
Well, we didn't purchase him. We don't get to make that choice, unfortunately.
They should have asked.
Do you have some names saved up if you ever get into ownership?
You know, after the short career of Mr. Annoying, I think my name.
You're
my
retired.
Days are over.
McGolden's the favorite. That's the 7. Gabriel Saez, Brandon Walsh. 1 1/8 coming up on the turf. Let's go to Travis Stone.
They're in the gate. And they're off. McGolden bounces out on top, right to the front. Hashtag no wonder is there. Rule the Empire for that outside post. Races up to join the leaders as well. It is McGolden in front, joined by Rule the Empire. And these 2 go 1-2 bias the first time. Hashtag no wonder backs off to settle in toward the rail 3rd. World Cruiser cruises up alongside of that one to be 4th. Tolkien toward the inside 5th. Gullen is 6th. 3 wide for Lola's Bow racing in 7th. Rio King is 8th. And Habitus is the early trailer. The early leader is McGolden. McGolden cruising along to the backstretch run. No hurry so far. Rule the Empire with mild pressure, if that. Hashtag no wonder. Saving ground all the way on that first turn, 3rd in toward the rail. World Cruiser continues on in the clear while 4th and is only 2.5 lengths off the lead. Tolkien follows that first flight to break up another 2 back to Gullen. Habitus has moved up toward the rail. Rio King's been moved to the outside, is advancing from 9th. Lola's Bow is the trailer in 10th. 24 to a 49 3/2 mile. Far turn run now. McGolden still the leader. Rule the Empire getting a little bit closer as they round the turn. World Cruiser cruising up on 3 wide. Hashtag no wonder set to strike in behind 4th. Rio King with a far turn move up into 5th. Tolkien's got a shot within 3 lengths of the lead. Habitus takes the inside route off the turn into the stretch. stretch. McGolden turning for home and set down for the drive. World Cruiser continues on. Hashtag no wonder switched outside. Rio King down the crown of the course into the final 16th. World Cruiser comes away with the lead. Rio King with a big effort outside. Hashtag no wonder between them. World Cruiser, Rio King, these two photo. Either one, Rio King or World Cruiser, noses up and down. Hashtag no wonder was third, and Tolkien was fourth.
Maybe Rio King in the final jump over the 5 World Cruisers was very tight. Let's look again.
It was close. It did feel like Rio King got it, but we want to see the hit the wire together. And he was the lone fuzzy of this race, as we mentioned before the race. Horse who got bet first time for Chad Brown, didn't know running, but came back today, a much different horse, lugged in there. I wonder if there will be a little bit of an inquiry. I don't think it affected anything. He was in front there. I don't know where the wire is because the 5 did come back a little bit. I could guess the 3, but given I don't really know where the wire is, I don't want to say anything. He did get it, but maybe the Bob went to the 5. World Cruiser, we liked a little bit at 5-1, ran well enough to win here. The disappointment, I mean, there's going to be an inquiry. They're going to call against the 3, regardless whether he wins or runs second, because he did come over. I don't think he affected the order of finish, but we'll see what they think. And the 7 McGolden was very disappointing. I know the rail, the inside hadn't been great over the weekend, but it seemed to be fine watching that race earlier today. So I think with the rails are much farther out than they were on the weekend. The weekend the rails were down. So I don't think it was an inside position. I just don't think the 7 McGolden ran very well in here. And they're showing the 3, but there will be an inquiry, I would think. Don't you think that the 8 kind of steady there?
Yeah, we need to see the head on. Hopefully we can get that for you. 9-1 on the 3 Rio King.
They're showing them, but it's not. They haven't posted the numbers, so don't.
World Cruiser, by the way, went off at 9-2, the 5.
If I had bet him, it would have been annoying. I was going to bet on him. I didn't. So I'm oddly rooting for the 3.
That's what we do in this game. When you don't make that bet, you're rooting against.
This guy ran. Blinker's on. Lasix. Different horse today. Getting it done. And the 5 won. World Cruiser got the Bob.
World Cruiser just narrowly, put up as your winner. We'll see if we can get a look at this photo here. 5-3-8-4.
Wow, that's a Bob. This guy won. Jeez. Got the whole Bob. Joe Rocco.
So World Cruiser, Paul, in a photo finish thriller here at Churchill.
Oh, Bob of life, guys. I was trying to tell Bobby. Wrote it on the in-house cam. I could not believe it. The 3 had to be a half a side in front of the 5, but the 5 literally got, Andy called it, the 5 got literally the Bob of life right on the wire. He was never physically in front, and you got to give it to the 3 for Jack Sisterson, who did a great job with this horse to get this horse ready because, you know, World Cruiser had a great trip in this race. The 3 stayed on top of him and kept going after him. And it's a shame if you had a 3. I know I stay alive with the 5, but if you have a 3, that was the tough beat there.
Well, it might not be that tough a beat because there's an inquiry. And while they're blinking the 3, 5, and 8, the 8 claimed, from what I saw in the pan, and we need to see a head on, obviously.
3 on the 8.
It felt like the 3 was coming in, but without seeing a head on, you can't tell. And I don't believe there'll be a disqualification by regardless.
All right, we will keep you posted on that. Unofficially 5-3-8-4 at Churchill as we're back at Belmont. 7th is next, 6 furlong sprint on the inner turf. Let's go to Maggie.
We'll start with a layoff runner. And while I think your favorite, Manon, I mean, she looks the same as what she did in her comeback race back at Aqueduct, where she finished a narrowly beaten 3rd. We'll take a look at Bye-Bye as she comes back now as a 4-year-old, wired last time while being the beaten favorite by Bay Storm. And it was a day in which it looked as though while the course labeled firm, and I honestly can't remember it, my weather memory isn't exact, it looked like a day where it had rained or it was, you know, it was just a bit wet on top, and they were kind of cutting the top off of it and really kicking it up. And it looked as though she was just never traveling well over it. Now, hence she then had a bit of a early stop to that 3-year-old campaign mid-September, and we see her back now. My thing is that she hasn't changed at all. But then again, I'm always willing to forgive turf sprinters for that because they don't need to be big, robust types. She looks fine here as far as fitness is concerned. I'm not going to be surprised when she runs well, but she's not blowing me away for this 4-year-old Bow. Now, one coming here to NYRA for the first time is number 1, 5th anniversary, and her lone turf start, she finished second, albeit a well-beaten second, behind the talented Derry Nane. She was kind of the first one to make a move out of leader and held second firmly that day. And looking at her, I like the fact that she's getting back to the turf. Furthermore, obviously I know this filly well because I was trained by my husband. She looks completely different than when she first came in earlier on in the year. She has filled out a ton. I mean, this filly was a frame that needed some furnishing, and by goodness, she's got that furnishing. And despite her being a 3-year-old, which I don't love against some older, talented horses, physically, she matches up with them very, very well here. So excited to see what she does making this NYRA debut, wearing a Shadowroll. Did carry her head a little bit on the higher side in some of those efforts. Moving on, though, number 2, Amalfi Princess. She's second off of a layoff and a bit of a heavier, stuffier type of filly that may need to race into fitness. Furthermore, going back to that Keeneland race, kind of more dominated towards the front end. She was well back, made that kind of wide bit of a move, and nobody really changing much position. I like her getting a little bit more ground, honestly, to work with. She looks great, though. Dappled head to toe. We'll see what she does. I thought one maybe to throw in underneath, Greg.
Maggie, thank you. There's Tom Morley walking through the screen. We'll be sending out 5th anniversary, 7-2. Positives from Maggie from a physical standpoint. There's Christophe Clement. He's going to have bye-bye grade 3 winner returning for her 4-year-old debut coming up.
I like her chances. I'm surprised that she's the same price as the one who is an interesting horse to throw in at a price, and she's the speed of this race. I don't know that Manon seems to be so much better than Bye Bye, and I took a shot with Bye Bye. I obviously, either one of these can win the race. I'm just surprised the big discrepancy in price.
Yeah, that is large. 7-2 on Bye Bye, even money on Manon. Let's take a look at Bye Bye. This was the Galway. 2 starts back August 15th, just missed in a stake at Saratoga.
Yeah, well, this was, a tale of a bad break. Squeezed out to back to last, came up the rail and ran a winning race. Was just extremely unlucky, and no complaints. I bet the winner of the race, so I'm not complaining. But she was very unlucky in there, and I think some will look at her last race and say, well, she didn't run well. Yes and no. She was caught wide, and that was when we first got back to Belmont, and saving ground on the inner turf course was almost a necessity. So she was way against the track, and the fact that she hasn't run since 8 months since that race suggests that something went wrong as well. So I think Bye Bye is okay and could improve. Now, she'll have to improve to beat Manon. What worries me about the 7 Manon is she just didn't have that same kick that she had when she first debuted at Belmont Park last spring, and I'm just wondering if she's the same horse.
It did take her a little while to get out in that race and get running room, didn't it?
I agree, but she got room, and she still didn't finish with the same explosion. If you watch her first race in this country, she absolutely exploded that day. And I don't disagree with what you're saying, but she didn't have that same burst. That first race, which was Kentucky Oaks Day.
It was impressive.
I mean, she looked like she could be any kind of horse.
By the way, real quick, back at Churchill Downs, no change, so that result stands. 5-3, 8-4 World Cruiser in that photo finish at 9-2 over Rio King. Here's our post-parade back at Belmont here, 5th anniversary. Tom Morley, Javier Castellano.
Yeah, this is the wild card in here. Now, 7-2 to me is Nunderley, but did face a very good horse, Christophe Clement, the one turf race, and seems to be improved and should be the controlling speed.
7-1, Amalfi Princess with Luis Saez.
Yeah, not untalented, but not as good as these.
7-2 on the grade 3 winner. Bye Bye, 4-year-old return to the races.
Yeah, I like Bye Bye's chances. I think she's a little better than she looks on paper, and I think she has a chance to beat the favorite, who's overbet, in my opinion.
Biggest price on the board, the 6 here, Bernie's Mistress.
And for good reason. She does get a trainer change to John Kimmel, but on paper, she's not good enough to compete with these.
And You brought up that States debut, and I'm still just a little in love with Manon from what I saw in that debut in April of last year.
Well, she was very unlucky in her second start in the Wild Applause. She was best that day. And I'm not against her. I just think she's overbet. It's the power of Chad Brown and his way his horses are running. I don't blame anybody for betting them.
Aluminum pad off and wearing a hood again. Taz on the outside.
Oh, listen, Taz isn't untalented. I don't think she's good enough to beat these, but she's run some decent races, including her last race, which was good.
Yeah, got off slow in that one. Wound up third behind a next out winner. 5 minutes to post, 7th here at Belmont. And the board making this filly right here a very heavy favorite for Chad Brown with Manny Franco. Even money on Manon here in the 7th from Belmont.
The breeding industry is governed by one principle. Performance determines success.
And Constitution has won!
Now, he's earning his stripes by siring stars.
Independence Hall wins the Hagyard Bayette.
Law Professor just in front, and Law Professor.
American Revolution, fireworks in the stretch here in the Cigar Mile.
Constitution, a natural-born leader.
Eclipse champion Blade ranks among the nation's top sires at a fraction of the price. His recent top runners include Aga Khan stud Saidabad, a top performer overseas, plus these recent standout performers. With success on the track and success in the ring, this proven son of Arch is truly a gold value stallion. Blade, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back on America's Day at the Races, program brought to you in part by the champion sprinter Run Happy. Never lost in his career while sprinting, now standing in legendary stall number 1 at Claiborne Farm. We have a daughter of Run Happy. There she is. Going to break from the inside post, 5th anniversary for trainer Tom Morley, 7-2 on the trainer switch.
I mean, I think this horse is a little interesting. I just think the price is too low. And for this horse to be the same price as By and By, I think is a mistake. The positive for this horse is that the fastest race that she ran as a 2-year-old was on the turf when she was second to the very talented Darynane, who's extremely unlucky in the Breeders' Cup. And then she runs her best race ever, far faster on a speed figure standpoint than her 2-year-old races on synthetic at 5 furlongs, and she's the controlling speed. Is the distance a bit of a question? Well, she has 1 or 6 furlongs in synthetic as a 2-year-old, and maybe she's improved. So I could see some reason to like her. I just thought she might be a better price.
And now the price even shorter on this filly here, Manon. And as you said, there could be a lone speed. It's not like she's going to get some wicked hot pace to run into here, is she?
No, I think the one's going to be controlling. I think that's a bit of an issue. And I think By and By can be closer than her. And I think it's up to Joel Rosario to get By and By in some good position. So, it's watching this race, she just doesn't have that acceleration. I know she has trouble getting through, but she got there. And I'm not saying she ran badly, but these are better horses than she faced that day.
Yeah. You go back to last year when we saw her early in the States. I mean, it was glaring the kind of turn of foot she could put together in this stretch. Let's go down to Maggie.
I'm reluctantly picking Manon because I just can't make myself pick my husband's horse, and I'm just suspect of Bye. But Manon last time, I think she was a bit fresh because she actually broke very well that day. And then, because it's what had worked with her in the past, they took a hold of her, took her back, and she was very hard against the bridle. Now, she didn't get much speed that day, and she's not going to get much here, as you guys were just mentioning. But I did see Manny Franco warming her up quite a good bit, quite aggressively. And I'm wondering if they do allow her to sit a bit closer because they figured out that, yes, she is a turf sprinter. Let her be just traveling in the bit because I think she lacked that punch late in that comeback race because she was so hard against Manny and not necessarily fighting him. She's actually a fairly agreeable type of filly, but she wasted some energy just being against it too much. So I reluctantly am picking number 7, Manon. I find Tass a little bit interesting here, because she honestly does feel a bit more like a distance type of horse, maybe a mile, and maybe this is just a stepping stone. But when she did try that 6 furlong race, she did wear that aluminum pad. It's off now, coming off the layoff. She looks pretty fit to me. She is a little warm, a little hot under the collar, which is usually an indication of a horse needing a race. But then again, that's not out of character for her. And now, yeah, she's a 6-year-old, so she should be fully grown and filled out. But this is the best weight and conditioning I've ever seen Tass carry, guys.
Maggie, thanks. Close to load up. We just saw the board. She clicked down again here, Manon. 3-5 on her, and she's the one to beat. But this is
so is the 4 dead on the board?
A little crazy.
This is insane. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. The way they're betting the race, and I think you'll agree with this, Greg. They're betting it like they know that the 4 can't win. Right? The 4, who would have thought the 4, and I'm not saying that the 1 can't win, but who would have ever thought the 4 would be a bigger price than the 1? And so maybe they just don't think the 4 can win. So I'm going right in and betting a couple hours the 4. At 4-1, I have to bet something.
It's an opportunity. We'll see what happens.
Maybe Chad Brown will never lose another race.
Maybe not. They're betting it like it. 7th from Belmont. Here we go.
And the rough. Manon is out well. Now 5th anniversary moves up, and 5th anniversary grabs the lead. Amalfi Princess has moved into 2nd, and Manon is now back in 3rd. Tass runs in 4th, followed by Bye Bye. And Bernie's Mistress trails the field in 6th as they head up the backstretch. It's 5th anniversary, leading here by a length. Amalfi Princess is 2nd by a length and a half, and the odds-on favorite Manon in 3rd, 3.5 lengths off the lead. Then it's 2 lengths to Tass and Bye Bye, and Bye Bye is gaining some ground down on the inside. Farther back is Bernie's Mistress. The quarter went in 21-2. Amalfi Princess up to challenge 5th anniversary for the lead with Manon on the extreme outside. In behind is Bye Bye, then Tass. They turn into the stretch. It is Amalfi Princess and 5th anniversary. Manon on the outside. Bye Bye looking for a way through as they hit the 8th pole. Here's Amalfi Princess with a narrow lead. Here comes Bye Bye on the outside. 5th anniversary down at the rail. Manon is now in 4th. It is Amalfi Princess trying to hold off Bye Bye. Amalfi Princess and Bye Bye. And it looked like Amalfi Princess got to the wire first. A photo with Bye Bye.
10-1, Amalfi Princess. Mike Maker, 3 diamonds, Farm and Luis Saez.
I watched the last race. She probably couldn't have run worse than she did, but she was a different horse today, showing significantly more speed than she had shown in the past. And, given those fractions we saw in the 4th race, those fractions may be true. Bye Bye was a bit unlucky. Obviously, she could have won if she had gotten out earlier, but she did have a bit of a chance. Just couldn't catch the 2. And I'll tell you something about Manon. Yeah, she's not the horse she was last year. A horse like Manon needs to be covered up and then come out and produce that kick. When you're stalking 3 wide, especially on what was a reasonable pace in this race, it's just not the kind of trip that's going to produce her closing kick. So I could make a little bit of an excuse for her, but she's not the horse she was last year. Bye Bye was a massive overlay and kind of an unlucky loser here. But if you had Amalfi Princess, congratulations. And if you're alive in the pick 6, you're probably the only one.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, are we all ready to carry over? Very good chance with this victory. Amalfi Princess, extremely hard one to come up with here in the 7th. Bye Bye, as Andy mentioned, a little bit unlucky to have to wait and find room, but when she did get an opportunity, unable to get by this one here. Just 2 for 10 now on the grass for this daughter of Temple City here in the 7th at Belmont. Prices from the 7th when we come back. We'll set the stage for race 8. And the feature coming up at Churchill as well.
The ultimate accolade for a racehorse is to be named Horse of the Year. To be enshrined to the Hall of Fame is to achieve immortality. As a stallion, genetic immortality is defined in 2 words: breed shaper, plain and simple. 2-time Horse of the Year and Hall of Fame inductee, Curlin is just that. Breed shaper, Curlin, the classic sire.
Back on America's Day at the Races. Program brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. 10-1 shot, taking the 7th at Belmont. This was a surprise, a race with some pretty good fillies in it, including Grade 3 winner Bye Bye, unable to run this one down in the stretch. Amalfi Princess, just her 2nd win on the grass. Mike Maker, 3 Diamonds Farm, and Luis Saez. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
And Luis Saez giving her the kind of ride that she needed. Too far off the pace in her comeback race at Keeneland last time, Louis. And Amalfi Princess, going back through her form, she does her best running when she can be close. Was that your game plan?
Yeah, definitely. That was the key. We know we have the speed inside, so we let Javier go, and we see right there. So when she came to the top of the stretch, I got plenty, a little wrong, so she gave me that little kick, and we get there on time.
You grinded out the victory. Now, I noticed you, I don't know if people saw it, but on the gallop out, you were shouting, I think, at Joel Rosario with the 4. What was that about?
Yeah, I was just asking, man, if he was coming there on time, because I was just riding and I don't see the wire. So I was not sure if I get there first.
That's amazing. Somebody like you still not sure where the wire is, but that's okay. You got it done. Tomorrow we'll see you aboard Bella Sophia, a filly you've had a lot of success with. This is her first start as a 4-year-old in the Vagrancy. What are you looking for? You had to be pleased with her post position draw.
Yeah, we have a good position. The draw was great. We tried to break from their running and see how the speed goes, and I don't know, make a move, and I think she's ready. That's what Rudy told me. She's doing great, so let's see how she come back tomorrow.
When in doubt, trust Rudy. I've learned that myself. Louis, congratulations here. Best of luck tomorrow, too.
Thank you so much, Maggie.
All right, always a pleasure to have Luis Saez back in town riding here now at NYRA. Full-time again, Greg.
Yes, it is. All the big guns back. Good to see him, including this man who won that Saratoga riding title last summer, Luis Saez, and we're all excited to see one of those mounts for Luis tomorrow. Bella Sophia, who was sensational on this circuit last year for Rudy Rodriguez. Her comeback race tomorrow as a 4-year-old in the Vagrants. The Amalfi Princess, $23.80 for the win. As we head back to Churchill Downs, and this is a race we've been looking forward to all afternoon long. This feature on their Friday card, mile and a 16th. Allowance optional claiming race, and here's Farmington Road now with Rusty Arnold.
Yeah, he was one of the few in here I thought was probably up against it. He's a nice horse, not this good.
Buck Moon on the lead. He went gate to wire. He ran a big figure last start.
He did, but that was a huge gold rail that day, and I think he really benefited from a bias. I didn't like his chances.
And he's got the 7 to deal with on the front end likely as well today. Masquerade, we last saw him, as you mentioned earlier, in the Travers. He had some big races before that.
Yeah, he's a talented horse. The question is whether or not you want to take him off the layoff. He's a little chilly at 7-2.
Major Fed, he was in the 2020 Kentucky Derby. Greg Foley trains.
Not untalented. I mean, his last race was okay. I don't think he's impossible.
Big number on My Sixth Sense.
Yeah, I didn't think he was good enough to beat these. He's got a weird figure race going back. The problem is his last 2 races are atrocious.
Twilight Blue, this horse with some decent figures the last 2 starts.
I agree. He has stepped up his game. Those were at Oaklawn. He lost to a speed last time out. I didn't think his last race matched up with this field that well.
This horse, he loves it at Churchill. He runs out of this world here.
He does, but that was a 1.25 mile race where he got loose. We'll see. But maybe he'll improve getting back there. We'll see. Tough to make the lead from where he is, though.
13-1 on Big Lake on a win coming off the turf last start.
I'm going to try to get him to the exact. I'm going to use him with horses like the 3 and 10 as the logical type horses. But I think this horse could have some upside for Steve Asmussen.
37-1, Tyshawn. Rafael Bejarano rides.
Yeah, he looks like a long shot. His recent form's just not good.
And Promise Keeper, this is the favorite outside. Todd Pletcher, Tyler Gaffleone.
Can he make a trip from the outside? He's been competing against some pretty good horses, but he did meet Masquerade at the Ohio Derby and lost to that one.
Let's go to Paul for more on the feature here on this Friday card from Churchill.
Yeah, guys, and this is a heck of a feature. It really is. It has a lot of depth in it and a lot of eclecticness in this race as well. When you look at the 2 Buck Moon, this is a horse by Malibu Moon that has one way to go, and that is going to the front end. Now you have the horse on the outside with a 10, Tyler Gaffleone, gets off the 4, Major Fed, gets on the 10, Promise Keeper for Todd Pletcher. He's pushed the button already on a couple of his horses to get to the front end. We have seen so far in a lot of the dirt races. Now, they have been logical. Speed is played out, so maybe he pushes with Promise Keeper. I just thought there were so many other horses in here that you can look at. Masquerade, obviously we're looking forward to his 4-year-old debut. But why would Albert Stahl take the blinkers off? Maybe because of that last race in the Travers, but ever since that was Essential Quality, Midnight Bourbon, rest his soul, and some other great horses. When he did have the blinkers on, he was a pretty darn good colt. So I thought this race was so wide open. I like the 4 a ton in here, Major Fed. I really do. When you go back and you look at his races, his best races are here at Churchill Downs. He's 2 for 7. He's 5 for 7 in the money. Comes off a nice little race. I know that Gaffleone leaves to the 10, and the 10 might have a little bit more class, but might lose some ground. And Flo the jockey, Florent Giroux, has won twice on this son of Ghost Zapper.
Paulie, thank you. 9-5 favorite, this horse right here. And yes, Tyler Gaffleone aboard for Pletcher. One of, I guess, the emerging kind of stars in this handicap division Olympiad. He was 3rd to Olympiad last time out. He tried to do it on the front end. This is going back to last year and his win in the Peter Pan.
Yeah, not one of the more memorable Peter Pans that we've ever run, to be honest with you. Now, in fairness to him, he did improve, and he faced a very tough horse last time in Olympiad. I worry, though, that his post is going to be his undoing in this race. He's going to have to really work to get position in this race because there are other speeds in this race and speeds that have real speed. So I could see him getting it done, and I get it. He's got big names in his PPs. He ran very well 2 back in the Razorback when there was no pace, and he actually did a good job of gaining some ground. I understand his appeal, but this is a pretty deep race, and I'm not saying there are any Olympiads in here, but there's some talent in this race, and I think 9-5 from that outside post is not exactly a great bet.
Yeah,
but I'm
danger certainly being hung wide around that first turn,
without a doubt.
Despite that, he remains the 9-5 favorite. As we take a look at Masquerade, potentially could be a big 4-year-old campaign for him. This was the Jim Dandy, 3rd behind Essential Quality and Keep Me in Mind that set him up to go to the Travers.
Yeah, and they took a shot in the Travers. They realized it was a bit of a shot. He was almost 20-1 in that race, but it's only one Travers. You take a shot. And it's a lot like he ran badly in the Jim Dandy. It wasn't much of a pace. Something went wrong in there. He's a better horse than that. He didn't run his bigger figures at Saratoga. But this is a horse that showed huge promise, and I think a lot of people remember that win on Derby Day, because that was that win, that allowance win 4 back. That was a huge, huge performance by him with a 97 buyer. Close to the figure that the Derby got. I think he's turning the right track. See, I think he should be favored over the number 10, better position in the year, but maybe he'll need one off a layoff.
And yeah, I mean, it was here at this track as well, the biggest, or one of the biggest numbers he's ever produced. As fans get set for this feature coming up on this Friday afternoon here in Louisville, Masca Parade. Returning for Alstall, 4-year-old, return to the races, son of Upstart, but heavy favorite from that outside post. Promise Keeper. What kind of trip can Tyler Gaffleone get? Let's go to Travis Stone for the call.
The gate. And they're off. Buck Moon breaks alertly. Twilight Blue is there. Colonel's Dark Temper from the far outside. Buck Moon, though, for that inside post to the front for the clubhouse turn. Twilight Blue comes on to be second. Colonel's Dark Temper racing up into third. Major Fed and Mask Parade, they're together fourth and fifth. Promise Keeper a little bit wide on that opening turn, 3 or 4 wide. Racing from sixth. My Sixth Sense to the rail is seventh. A break of 4 back to Farmington Road in Big Lake. The trailer is Tyshawn, 10 lengths off the lead. The opening quarter goes in 23 and 3, and it is Buck Moon down the backstretch showing the way. Twilight Blue shadows that one. They're 1-2, 2 lengths back. Colonel's Dark Temper in the clear, racing up into third. Mask Parade is tucked away fourth and toward the rail. Major Fed between horses fifth. Right in the thick of it is that one. Promise Keeper continues on while wide and is 4 lengths off the lead far turn. My Sixth Sense over to the rail, trying to make some progress from there. 5 lengths back to Big Lake and Farmington Road. Tyshawn is still the trailer. 3 furlongs from the wire. Twilight Blue continues to pester Buck Moon. They're head and head for the lead. Mask Parade is third toward the rail. Major Fed's putting in a run now. Promise Keeper's under pressure back in fifth as they hit the top of the stretch. Farmington Road cut the corner 6. Top of the lane now. Twilight Blue puts a nose in front. Twilight Blue the leader with 1 furlong to go. Buck Moon battles on. Here comes Mask Parade now. Mask Parade is switched out, trying to run down Twilight Blue. 16th to do it. Twilight Blue is still clear. Mask Parade is lifting late. These two to the wire. Twilight Blue, yes! Held on to do it. Mask Parade couldn't quite get there. Settles for second. Buck Moon was third. Farther back, either Major Fed, Farmington Road, or My Sixth Sense.
Twilight Blue, Joe Sharp, Brian Hernandez Jr. holding off Mask Parade here in the feature.
Yeah, I'm shocked, to be honest. This horse really improved. Once again, another race at Churchill Downs where nobody gained any ground whatsoever in this race. And it's really becoming a trend over there. Mask Parade felt like when he got out, he might be able to run down this horse, but gets the money for Joe Sharp. He might have lost the Derby winner, but he's got a horse improving for Twilight Blue. I mean, no, the 10 didn't break that sharply, and he just was never a factor whatsoever. And, I mean, nobody closes any ground in these races. It's weird.
And you talk about that break from Promise Keeper, that kind of tough position he was put in early.
Yeah, and when we talked about it, they were going to the gate. We said, with that kind of position, you know, that kind of post and that position, a lot of things have to go right, and very little can go wrong, especially at a short price.
This horse briefly was on the Triple Crown Trail last year, ran in the Rebel, and improving now in his 4-year-old campaign. 2 wins and a second here coming back for Joe Sharp. I believe 9-1. Yeah. Big upset here in the feature with 1 race remaining on this Friday card. That is it for Andy Serling today.
Tearful farewell for me. I was having so much fun. When I saw Keisha show up in the set, I got a little misty-eyed, but it's been fun racing and good stuff tomorrow, too.
Yeah, great card tomorrow. 5 graded stakes we're going to have for you, including the Grade 1 Man of War. Going to take a timeout. Acacia will be joining me on the set after this switch out here in a moment. More coming up from both Belmont and Churchill right after this. Don't go away. Up next, 25 Claimer Sprint. here in Elmont, New York. Stay with us.
Spun to run. In the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, he defeated a loaded field that included multiple Grade 1 winners Omaha Beach and Improbable. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more. And he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, Breeders' Cup champion, Spun to Run, standing at Gainesway.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Nairo Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Nairo Bets.
Following C, pouring it on here in the stretch. Impressive to win the Grade 2 Vosburg. Following C,
Smile Happy has kicked it into high gear, and Smile Happy with a powerful performance wins by 2.5.
Eclipse champion Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
How does horse racing support New York's economy? It's responsible for 19,000 jobs and more than $3 billion in annual statewide economic impact. These good-paying jobs support working families across the state and sustain thousands of small businesses both on and off the track. Horse racing in New York means jobs and opportunities now and in the future. We are New York horse racing.
Back on America's Day of the Races. Program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Twilight Blue. What a strong start to 2022 for this 4-year-old son of Air Force Blue. 2 wins in a second, and now 2 for 3 at Churchill as well. It's a good group he beat, including the talented Masked Parade, who looked like he was primed to make a charge down the stretch. He could not get to this horse, who pays $21.20 for the win for trainer Joe Sharp. Let's go to Paul LaDuca for more.
Yeah, with winning right here, Brian Hernandez. I got to talk to Joe a little bit, and he said, listen, this horse has gotten a lot better. Now, I know you rode this horse earlier in his career. Did you always think you can get 2 turns?
You know, we always did think he'd get 2 turns, but even early on as a 2-year-old, we got him going early on. And we always thought he was a good horse, and he's taking a little time to come into himself, but he seems to be getting better and better. You know, this was a tough 3 other at the end of the day for him to overcome what he did and win it like he did. That was impressive.
You said to Joe right before we came on camera, wow, I thought we were going to go a lot faster here on the front end.
I did too. You know, reading the race before I came out here, I thought I'd be second or third, kind of sitting in the pocket, and 2 or 3 would go in front of us, and that didn't work out under the wire the first time. My horse got his spot quickly and easily. I said, well, we're just going to go on from here because you don't take away what's given to you naturally, and that's what I didn't want to do, and he did it all on his own.
Well, it's been a hot week. Obviously, it's been tough to pass horses. Are the jockeys now in the room starting to realize we got to be close up at the pace, especially on the dirt?
You'd have to go ask them. I know I've kind of seen it happening, so you always kind of want to be forward, but I don't want to tell too many other ones about it.
And I always tell everybody to look back at a horse when a horse wins and you can't figure it out. Brian Lawson this horse to Mandaloon, and Mandaloon ran this horse down when he's a little bit younger, so this horse has always had talent.
Yeah, exactly. He's shown that, you know, for Joe to go from the one other than into the Rebel with him last year, we always thought highly of him, and it's proven. It's nice to see him win a race like this today.
Good job, Brian. Back to you, Greg.
Paulie, thanks. Twilight Blue, big effort there at 9-1 in the feature. Joining me on set as promised, Acacia Clement, good to see you again.
Nice to see you back up here on the set after reporting a little bit. So nice to get a chance to be on this side of the table with you for a couple races, Greg.
Yeah, so we still got the nightcap coming up at Churchill. We have race 8 and 9 coming up here at Belmont. The 8th next here in New York. 6.5 furlong sprint, $25,000 claiming race. And 6-5 right now. And Sweet Mia, Charlie Baker, he's going to go to Joel Rosario with the 2.
And I think that that's a big reason of the money that we're seeing. You just look back, and over the past year, when Joel Rosario and Charlie Baker do team up, they're about 23% together. This is a really potent duo. Charlie Baker, a really talented horseman, a very, very good horseman. And it seems when he reaches out for Joel Rosario, it speaks to the intent and a horse that seems to be live, and the board is reflecting that as well.
We'll get to the post parade here momentarily, coming through the tunnel, 7 minutes away from this 8th next. Not a ton of pace in this race. I guess the 2, the 4, the ones that want to sit close in here?
I would think so. I thought potentially we could see the number 2, Sweet Mia, be a little bit more aggressively handled by Joel Rosario. Certainly she doesn't need to be too far off of it.
All right, Ortiz Jr. already with 3 on the afternoon. He's going to ride here for Juan Vasquez.
Needs a better break than Quasar had last time when she just leapt up at the break, threw her head, and spotted the field several lengths at the start.
Here's Sweet Mia and Joel Rosario, 1 for this condition back at Aqueduct in January.
4th last time out. Hydra, the winner, came back to win again. She was a little bit wide throughout in that race. We'll see if she gets a better trip today.
She's a black belt. Her last win was in the mud at Aqueduct.
Off of a layoff since October, Jose Loscano does take the mount, too, for Mert-Ken Cantermount. She rode this mare back in August.
Buston Bay, a little bit of a drop down from 32 down to 25.
She actually ran on pretty well last time out to finish 2nd. Trevor McCarthy stays. She was 8-5 on the morning line. I think that it shows on the board being how the number 2 is bet.
And Jackie Davis on Shadalamo, who will turn back in distance.
Made an early move last time out and hit the lead, only to be caught late. 5-1 right now as she cuts back. It seems like she's better going a bit longer.
Approaching the 5-minute mark to post for this 8th at Belmont. A favorite, Sweet Mia, Joel Rosario, Charlie Baker teaming up. We'll have this one for you live when we come back. Stay with us. More America's Day at the Races on the way after a break.
A Grade 1 winner of nearly $2 million, Silver State hails from the sire line of legendary Claiborne stallion Danzig. And his second dam is full sister to Kentucky Derby winner Monarchos. After winning the Oaklawn Handicap, Silver State defeated Knicks Go in the Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap. On the board in 12 of 14 starts from ages 2 to 4, his career included a 6-race winning streak. Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm.
We are back on America's Day at the Races. Good to have you with us on this Friday afternoon. Get set for the 8th coming up at Belmont. You can play it with Naira Bets. Take advantage of that offer. $200 deposit match bonus at sign up with that code STAKES200. Download the app or go to nairabets.com and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. This 8th race approaching the 2-minute mark to post, and it remains Sweet Mia, the 2, the 1 to beat on the board. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
We'll start with her, Greg, and Acacia was talking about the success that trainer Charlie Baker and jockey Joel Rosario have had. And I remember one time in asking agent for Joel, Ron Anderson, well, why did you pick the Charlie Baker horse over, I forget which trainer it was, but it was a shorter price? And he said, because whenever Charlie asks to use me, I say yes, no matter who the horse is or what condition they're in. And that's how much faith the excellent and probably best in the game agent Ron Anderson has in Charlie Baker, and I tend to agree. Charlie is such a good horseman. It's reflective in the way his horses looked. It's reflective in the fact that he consistently, year after year, has a higher win percentage, and not that win percentages are everything, but he's also very patient with his horses and has that real hands-on approach, never having really more than 30 or 40 horses in his barn here at the Naira Circuit. And I'm going to wax poetic about Charlie Baker because I could go on and on about him, but I can't really go on and on about this race. So I'm going to pick Sweet Mia in here. She's a black belt. She's coming in off of a layoff. And last time I saw her, she looked very weak behind. She wasn't moving well behind, but it looks like Mercant Cantamazzi has fixed that. I watched her warm up. She looks so much better. That muscle mass has come back to her hindquarters. Now she's gotten awfully washy out on track, or at least on her neck. I shouldn't say she's washed out because she's not, but just that little warmth suggests to me that she might need a race. But physically looking at her, and while I watched her in the paddock, she didn't automatically strike me as being that unfit or not that well prepared for this start. So I think she's heading into this effort at least better than what she had going back a ways. And she does have some back class a bit to follow in here. She, once upon a time, Greg, did get very good for the Cantamazzi barn.
Maggie, thank you. 8-1 right now. She's a black belt, so 6-year-old debut coming up. Jose Lizcano will be aboard, and she's the biggest price on the board.
She is, but I think it's interesting what Maggie mentioned about Mercant Cantamazzi maybe figuring out some things behind the scenes, and she is a little bit hot off the layoff. I do remember her looking that way back in October as well. Maybe that's just her, but the point that Maggie brings up is true, and maybe you do have to question. It's a long break from October, and clearly there were some questions and things that had to be addressed as she's a dirt horse. It's not like we see these layoffs with turf runners in that it's intended for them to take the winter off. When you see a layoff like that with a horse that's a dirt type of runner and has had some success at Aqueduct, there were some issues, but it's also a good sign to hear that maybe those issues were addressed. And the Cantamazzi barn has had a limited number of starters this meet. They do seem to have been well meant, and she's a black belt, could be one that maybe right off the pace perhaps set by the likes of the two Sweet Mia.
Well, this is Buston Bay, and she was beating up on New York Bred Company over at Aqueduct, putting together back-to-back wins. She comes out of a $32,000 claiming race. She was second to Hydra last time out. Trevor McCarthy will be aboard. 9-5, second choice. What are your thoughts on her?
I didn't know what to do with her, to be honest with you. I thought that she ran on pretty well last time out. I think that she found a spot last time where she belonged. It is a slight drop once again today to the 25, but she seems to be a pretty snug fit here. 9-5 right now on the board. I actually thought that she would perhaps be a little bit shorter than the two Sweet Mia, but Maggie talked about Ron Anderson choosing to ride Sweet Mia and Charlie Baker. When Joel Rosario takes the call, that usually means they're live, and the betting public live to that as well. Buston Bay, we'll see if she can turn things around today.
And she backs out of the gate here momentarily under Trevor McCarthy. And it looks like there she goes, right back in. Favorite, Sweet Mia, Joel Rosario for owner-trainer Charlie Baker here with his 5-year-old mare, the 2. It's the 8th from Belmont. Let's go upstairs. John Imbrial, the call.
And we are set for the start. And they're off. She's a black belt. Out for the early lead with Sweet Mia down on the inside. Right there in second. Buston Bay is next in third. Shanolamo runs in fourth. Quasar, the early trailer, in fifth up the back stretch. Sweet Mia on the inside, and she's a black belt on the outside. And they are going at it here. It is Sweet Mia narrowly. She's a black belt on the outside. The front two have 7 lengths now on Buston Bay in third. The quarter 22 and 2/5 seconds. At the back are Shadolamo and Quasar. Up front, it is Sweet Mia by a head. She's a black belt on the outside in second. A half dozen lengths to Boston Bay in third. Shadolamo and Quasar down at the rail. The battle up front continues. It's Sweet Mia, and she's a black belt, and the others are getting closer now. Boston Bay runs in third. Quasar, and on the outside, Shadolamo. Half mile in 46 seconds. Now they're in the stretch. It's Sweet Mia. She's a black belt. Quasar down at the rail, and on the outside, Shadolamo, Boston Bay, Shadolamo coming on. Quasar now gets off the rail for the final eighth of a mile. It is Shadolamo and Boston Bay, and the two of them fight it out to the finish, and it will be Shadolamo and Jackie Davis. Boston Bay runs second, then Sweet Mia, Quasar, and she's a black belt.
Shadolamo and Jackie Davis with a big assist from Jose Lezcano, and she's a black belt.
Absolutely. Shadolamo got to reap the spoils of that hot pace duel we saw up front. Jackie Davis putting her out in the clear, closing wide on the turn, but she was able to close into a pace that fell apart. You have to give Sweet Mia credit, as she had to duel with She's a Black Belt the entire time. She's a Black Belt ended up finishing last, and Sweet Mia hung in there as she had those closers, Boston Bay and Shadolamo, to the outside. She kept running on even after she was passed, and the other horse setting the pace with her was fading. She ran a good race, but it was the number 6 Shadolamo to get the best trip.
6'4", 2'1", did not expect those kind of tactics. I don't think anybody did from She's a Black Belt, and they didn't exactly pay off.
No, they didn't. And I guess maybe you could say, well, maybe she needed the race, but you respect aggression. Just sometimes it seems like it may be a little bit more of a suicide attempt when you're setting a pace with a horse that does seem to be the fastest early.
6-1, Shadolamo. This may have cemented a pick six carryover. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. When we return, she's been beaten up on the boys, as she did in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. Twilight Gleaming returning for Wesley Ward in against her own division.
The return of Sunday Silence.
Sunday Silence surges to the front. It's Yoshida in front. Yoshida takes charge at the top of the stretch, and Yoshida wins the Turf Classic.
Here comes Yoshida, storming home in the center with Gunnevera. Yoshida! Yoshida has won the Woodward.
The perfect balance. Yoshida.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Nairo Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Nairo Bets.
Irish Hill and Duchess View Stallions, proudly standing the ultra-fast, multiple stakes winning son of Uncle Mo, King for a Day, the only horse to defeat 2019 3-year-old champion Maximum Security.
Well, King for a Day was basically a clone of Uncle Mo. I mean, good speed, the ability to carry it over distance of ground, real professional horse and a really cool horse to train.
Sire maker extraordinaire Uncle Mo, represented in New York by King for a Day. Visit ihdvstallions.com to book your mare today.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
We are back on America's Day of the Races program, brought to you in part by the champion sprinter Run Happy, standing in legendary stall number 1 at Claiborne Farm. 8th in the books at Belmont. Shadolamo, Jackie Davis taking advantage of a speed duel up front, riding for Eduardo Jones here. 6-1 winner. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Here with Jackie Davis, who was just telling me that she almost didn't make the race. Jackie, what happened?
They actually forgot to put my bag on the flight, so I missed my first race today, which was sad. She finished second. But they put it on the second flight, which was delayed, so I had to wait till almost 1 o'clock to get my bag. And with Friday traffic from LaGuardia, I almost missed it here. And I'm so happy they let me, I made it.
You did, and Shadalamo ran very well for you last time. You had to be pretty excited with what you saw unfolding in front of you.
Oh, as soon as I saw the speeds go like I wanted, we sat chilly and bided our time. She's kind of Mary, you have to keep her engaged. So I kind of kept her attention. Then when it was time to run, she responded, and she fought off the horse that was next to us in the stretch and just blew him away, I guess.
She did. Well, you've blown us away watching you ride this winter. So enthusiastic and giving every horse that you're on just the best opportunity. Talk a little bit about that success and what your summer plans are.
So in my own, I was talking a lot about this. So I come out here, maybe I ride 5, maybe I ride 6, maybe I ride 1, but every race, I will sit there and ride them like it's the only race I ride that day. Because in my mind, the owners, the trainers, the grooms, everybody's putting so much money and time into this horse that what else can I do but give 130% every time I'm out here. So my plan, right now I'm in Finger Lakes, and I'm doing really well right now, and they're really giving me a real nice shot there, as well as here this winter. So after that, I'll be coming back down here this winter, and I'm really excited to see how it unfolds.
And Jackie, you talk about everybody else giving 130%. I see you working in the mornings harder than anyone, getting on just gallopers or horses jogging the wrong way. But we also saw your brother, Dylan, have a big milestone today. That had to be a lot of fun to watch.
I'm so proud of my brother. He's really developed into a wonderful rider. He belongs to be here, and he belongs here, and he deserves all the credit and all the work he did. I'm just super proud of him, and I can't wait to see what else he does.
Well, Jackie, I am super excited to talk to you today. Congratulations, Shadalamo. 1 and done.
No, I ride the
next sorry, you ride the last race. Yeah, oh, my gosh. That's go, run. We got to go, too. Jackie may be taking the late double, Greg.
We will find out. And that milestone they alluded to with her brother, Dylan, that was career win number 1,000 earlier on the card on Heels Together. Great to see just the joy in Jackie Davis with that victory on a stressful day, it sounds like.
It absolutely does. Strong genes in that Davis family, too, as she'll actually ride the nightcap Pepper King for her dad, Robbie Davis. The Davis family well represented when it comes to the riding colony, and love seeing the success, the enthusiasm, the effort from Jackie Davis in a well-deserved victory.
We head back to Churchill Downs, and they're going to close out their Friday card with a $20,000 maiden claiming sprint, 3/4 of a mile. We're going to see the field here in a moment with a post spread. The favorite outworking 0 for 11. Beat is the favorite in this same condition last time out. Here's the one off of Cole.
Added blinkers last time out and showed a little bit more speed, cuts back and drops down today.
A big price on the class dropper. That was at Indiana dropping. Better Dasher, dirt debut.
First time on the dirt after 2 synthetic races. Did a little bit of running on debut. Not much running for Lesser last time out.
Moon Mischief, 0 for 12, has been the favorite on several occasions.
Hit the board in the last couple of races out at Los Al, going a mile. Has the layoff, the cut back in distance. What do we get from this one today?
Lowest level he's a keeper has ever been at, start number 3.
The drop in class makes him intriguing for sure. Sena Carpe Diem, who also cuts back in distance. Not sure what his best distance is, as he did have a lot of trouble last time.
Here's the 6, Bernie's Weekend, first-time starter.
A little bit of pedigree on the bottom side by Bernardini, but on the bottom is half to Ascot Day, who was a 4-time dirt sprint winner.
Lend It To Me, making an equipment change.
Blinkers coming off for a horse that does have speed, and you would think that that speed would be a good weapon in a field like this.
Ferocity, big price with Mitch Murrell.
Hasn't run back to the only decent race on his card, which was his debut at Canterbury back last summer.
Congrats to me. Blinkers go on. This is start number 2.
Very slow out of the gate and then just trailed the field on debut at Keeneland. You'd hope for a sharper break today with that equipment change.
Outworking, still the favorite, Ricardo Santana Jr.
First off the claim for Norm Cassie, and Norm's barn has been going well, but this one hit the front last time out, looked home, only to be run down late.
Here's the 11, Hometown Hero, 5-2.
It's taking a drop in class. I thought that this one was intriguing. The other for Reeve McGahee.
And that's your group. 2 minutes away. 9th at Churchill coming up on the Saturday card. She is back. Twilight Gleaming for Wesley Ward, Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint winner. And Tyler Gaffleon will be aboard. Let's get Paulie's thoughts.
Yeah, it's an intriguing race. Race number 9 tomorrow will go off at 10:11 Eastern time. And the Mamzelle is a $160,000 overnight stakes race. And yeah, we're going to get to see Twilight Gleaming and all of her speed after she won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. She came back to get beat in her next start just by about a 3/4 of a length. She got run down in the lane. Now, she probably needed that start, obviously, being off since November. Now, Wesley has given her some time. A 3-year-old filly that is going in the right direction. But this is a salty group. You got Mystic Eyes, who has some speed. Margie's Kitchen, who is another horse that has shown some speed on the turf. Sunday Grace, Boxing Day, putting the blinkers on. But will it all matter towards the end? I mean, when you look at Twilight Gleaming and you look at her numbers, they just really do stick out. And I think there's literally only one horse that can pass horses in the race. It's the one. So if the Wesley horse gets in front, Twilight Gleaming, she's going to be really tough to run down, guys.
Well, she got run down in that comeback race, the Palisades. First start coming back of the year as a 3-year-old. It's going to be fun tomorrow night. You're going to be on for this race, right?
I will be with Anthony Stabile. We'll be here at Belmont Park, keeping each other company into the wee hours of the night racing at Churchill Downs, but looking forward to it. That's a really good race. And as I was commenting to you, Greg, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with the pace with Mystic Eyes and Twilight Gleaming, two fillies that were very, very fast as 2-year-olds. First start of the year for Mystic Eyes, another one who has that early speed.
Well, here in this Friday finale, so out working, starting to get to the point where it's been a lot of opportunities. Favorite 2 at a softer condition last time. It was a muddy racetrack. Ran okay, but it was supposed to get it done in that race.
I just thought that he looked home. When he hit the lead in the stretch there, it was in a perfect position. Joe Rocco decided to make a move a little bit earlier, take the lead, and he looked like he was the winner, only to be run down late by the horse Vasilevsky, who ended up winning that race. I saw him a couple times this winter down at Gulfstream. They tried him going short. They tried him on the turf. I just think they were trying to find a way to get him to wake up, and they haven't been able to do that as of yet. One thing to note quickly with Mike Tomlinson, he used to wear a full hood, and that his ears were covered, and I noticed he doesn't have that today, so another little equipment change.
Meanwhile, Paula Duke is still alive in the pick 5. Let's go back to Paulie.
Yeah, guys, we need 11 to get home, and I'm just hoping that the drop in class gets it done. I can understand where the public's going with the 10 outworking. This is a horse that got left in the gate last time. I get it. It was for maiden 10, got run down. But the Norm Cassie barn has been on fire. 3 for 10 at the meet with 5 second-place finishes, and they've all been going towards the front end. And if you look, the 7 in here does have some speed, takes the blinkers off. You don't really know what you're getting, obviously, with the 5 and the 6 out, where you were going to get from those first-time starters. The 1 has shown some speed going long. So the 3 Moon Mischief is taking money, maybe because they think that horse is going to go to lead. I have a feeling Ricardo Santana is going to be on the Sen. Catch me if you can. And I'm hoping Hometown Heroes Class and the drop wins this race.
Paulie, nice handicapping. If this 11 were to win, $2,400 pick 5.
Well done. Certainly be rooting for Paul here, Hometown Hero, sharp on the track, and I thought he had a major chance. It's now ticked over to the favorite.
Yeah, get back to pace of this race. He was talking about Ricardo Santana Jr. going to be aggressive, you would think, on the 10. Who else do you think can go here?
I wonder what we get from the 7, Lend It To Me. As Paul mentioned, the blinkers come off, which is kind of an interesting notion for a horse that has early speed. Early in his career, he did show a little bit more speed even without those blinkers. Typically, you'll see blinkers come off if they want a horse to settle a little bit more, but sometimes it is just almost surprising the horse. If it's a horse that hasn't broken through in 9 starts, like this one, for example, an equipment change like taking blinkers off can kind of wake him up a little bit, get him on his toes a little bit more, and maybe you'll see a little bit more follow through.
Oh, the 4s at 12-1. That horse showed at least a little bit of ability first time out It's a straight maiden race at Keeneland. Then went long. This is the easiest spot by far he's been in. Big number. It's this finale on our Friday card at Churchill. Good luck to Paulie. Let's go to Travis Stone.
They're in the gate. And they're off. Ferocity fires out fast. Lended to May showing some speed too. He's a keeper is there. Off at Cole down toward the inside. Racing up on through. Fourth, third, second, and now first. Off at Cole on through to the front. He's a keeper runs in second. Lended to May is third. Ferocity is fourth. Moon Mischief is racing fifth. Congrats to Me is sixth. Outworking in the clear seventh. Hometown Hero for that outside post to the rail in eighth. 5 lengths back to Better Dasher. They're onto the far turn. They whip that opening quarter 21-4. Off foot Cold joined by Lend It to May 3 wide, who's looking for the lead and grabs it with 3 furlongs to go. Lend It to May takes over. Off foot Cold's back into second. He's a keeper's going the wrong way. Ferocity finds a seam, comes on through. Outworking has been wide. Hometown Hero cut the corner off the turn, angles outside with Lend It to May to catch. Lend It to May got away by 5 off the turn. Ferocity and Hometown Hero. Moon Mischief down the center. Off foot Cole outworking. Everybody chasing Lend It to May. Lend It to May took it to him at the quarter pole and rambles home. Lend It to May wins it by 7 on the wire. Hometown Hero second. Ferocity was third. Tight fourth. Outworking her Better Dasher. Off at Cold there too.
Lend It to Me runs away with this race, and Chase Miller was in great position early.
Impressive win for sure, and it seemed that time on the bench coming back off of the layoff, the right spot, the blinkers coming off, helped to wake him up and just find another gear in this horse. Absolutely the best race that he's run. Towards the start in 2020, he had run competitive races and seemed to be a little bit off form last year before being sidelined. Clearly, Darren Miller did the right thing by him, and somebody had a nice winning ticket, it seems, on the rail at Churchill.
Lend It to Me, pretty dominant here in this spot. 4-year-old debut coming back on a central banker. Equipment change, blinkers come off, and around the turn, this horse just took off, and it was over.
I think it was a combination, too, of some of the favorites just not showing up. Another disappointing effort from Outworking. Lend It to Me, though, very impressive. You see Chase Miller put his riding crop away and just be along for the ride. Nice little pat there at the wire.
10th time out. Able to break his maiden as a 4-year-old. And picture time for Lend It to Me. Chase Miller, Darren Miller teaming up. Got a new audience here joining us as we still have the nightcap coming up here at Belmont, 12 minutes away. Welcome to those just joining us on Fox Sports. You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Greg Wolf, Acacia Clements. We have the nightcap coming up here in New York, and we're looking forward to a sensational Saturday. 5 graded stakes, including that monster showdown of the Grade 1 Man of War between the turf champ Yabir and multiple Grade 1 winner Gaffo.
And that'll be our first Grade 1 of the season here at Belmont Park, too. Really talented horses in that Man of War, but looking forward to all of the graded stakes on Saturday.
Going to close out our Friday card here in New York with a turf sprint. 6 furlongs here, New York Breds, $40,000 maiden claiming group. Wide open board. Let's head downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
Lots and lots of guessing to do in this nightcap, and we'll check in with your tepid favorite at 7-2 right now. Is first off the claim, number 4, Mischief Mogul, who has been a disappointment thus far in his first 2 races for Hall of Famer Todd Pletcher. Beaten favorite in both of those, a horse that I do want to watch and how he looks out on the track, because the only other time I'd seen him was for that debut up at Saratoga. I mean, he just wasn't clued in. He was bad with the pony. He didn't move well behind. I wasn't here for his last start, and again, he was a disappointment. Ran just the same exact race he ran first time out. Picked up that day, switches to the turf. While there isn't an abundance of turf pedigree, one of the Haas siblings was okay on turf, but never won. This guy does have a turf hoof. Again, like I said, I want to watch him and how he looks out on the track. He does look fit and well-muscled, and he's grown up quite a bit from 2 to 3. So we'll see. But again, you're taking a somewhat short price on a horse who has never been on the turf, as we'll move on to another one who's never been on the turf, but majorly bigger prices that we'll get to next. I'm really intrigued by number 6, Southern Civility. I thought he looked like a turf horse first time. He did no running that day, albeit in a maiden 40. Now he returns as a new gelding, gets Lasix for Pat Reynolds, looks much more fit than what I saw, gets on the surface in which I think he's intended to, as a dam was a good turf horse. I just have a problem with the distance. He does not strike me as a 6-furlong type. Looks as though he might want a mile or more. Moving on to number 10, Reservation, another cutback, which I'm not ultimately thrilled with considering he's by honor code. But on the bottom side, going back a bit, the dam was have to up the ante, who's a stakes winner on the turf, as well as Miss Dracaris, who is a stakes placed runner on turf. So there is turf pedigree going back. He does have a turf hoof. He is a horse that has done well now in his 3rd start, from first to second to third starts. I really like what I'm seeing from this guy progression-wise. Again, he just doesn't look like a sprinter. But the horse that looks like a turf sprinter to his outside is number 11, Gold Bouillon, who is a decent price right now. There's plenty of turf pedigree. Dan was good on turf sprints, earning a 94 buyer once upon a time. He has a turf hoof. This guy's very fit for his 2nd start, and I think he could make some noise here, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. Post parade in progress. We'll get back to how you're feeling in a moment. 12-1, getting on the turf for the first time. Here's Addicted to You.
Cuts back in distance, a horse that has not done much running as of yet.
First time starter, Tom Morley, 2 down.
Sold as a 2-year-old for $100,000 back in 2021, debuts, and now we'll see what he does getting to the racetrack.
Mischief Mogul, favorite right now. The dam was pretty good on the dirt.
She was a good dirt sprinter. He's by into Mischief, who his progeny can handle the turf. The sibling was 0 for 5 in the grass, but ran some fine races. Blinkers going on as well. It's not easy to claim off of Todd Pletcher.
Linda Rice, start number 2 in the turf debut for Civil Service.
Not much turf pedigree on the bottom side, but the progeny of Fedbiz certainly can handle the grass. It does take a drop in class as well.
Surface switch, a lot of changes with the 6.
Gelded Lasix for the first time. The dam was good on the turf. Thought it was interesting, Maggie mentioned the distance could be a question.
David Donk, first-time starter here on Palm Sunday.
The dam was 1 for 11. Her only win was sprinting on the dirt, but this is a son of Summerfront, so certainly some strong turf presence there.
Pepper King, Robbie Davis, did get on grass last start, didn't seem to help.
No, it didn't. We'll see. This one would really need to take a huge step forward.
Rudy Rodriguez and Trevor McCarthy, Reservation, team up here.
Getting a big warm-up as this one cuts back in distance and some turf pedigree on the bottom side. Blinkers come off as well.
Gold Bouillon at 9-2.
This is the one I like. This is the one that certainly has the biggest turf pedigree. Dan was a 5-time turf sprinter, was very good on the grass, takes a drop in class as well. Did show a little bit of early interest in that debut before fading.
And one of those wins from the dam came here at Belmont, too. Tiz Snow, 32-1 on the outside.
Not much turf pedigree to speak of, but did run twice on the turf, though, going long, but didn't really show any interest those days.
That's our field. 6 minutes to post here in this nightcap here in New York. Overcast Friday. And we know already going into the weekend, we have a pick 6 carryover for Saturday.
Oh, that's exciting. Big day for it on Saturday, too.
Indeed. It's going to be fun. Hope you join us. Let's take a look at what we have lined up. Vagrancy So many. I mean, there's some big names we're going to see tomorrow. Who are you most excited about seeing coming back?
Well, I'm biased, but Gufo, of course. He is taking a different trajectory this year, coming back in the Man of War. Last year, his first race of the year was the Man of War after the winter break. This year, he had a prep in the Pan American down at Gulfstream, a track that really doesn't suit his running style of that big closing kick. The blinkers came off that day too, and Christophe Comeau telling me that he felt that adding the blinkers last year helped him respond a little bit more quicker with Joel Rosario, and then he started to get a little bit too keen with those blinkers on. So they took the blinkers off to get him to relax and just be a little bit more aware of his surroundings. It seemed to work. He had a big win in Florida, so excited to see what he could potentially do facing Yabir again.
Were you surprised by how good he ran first off the bench?
I was. I mean, Christophe had even said, you know, this is a prep for the Man of War. I don't think he's 100% cranked up for this race, and he was facing a Bond who had been very good at Gulfstream down in the winter, and he'll face again here in this Man of War, but he just looked like a shiny copper penny that day, and he ran to it. He's a bit of a horse that knows he's good, if that makes sense. He's a powerful personality around the barn, but a super cool horse to have followed, and this will certainly be a big weekend for him.
Two heavyweights in that Grade 1 Man of War, including the reigning turf champion. As you see those prices from back at Churchill, lend it to me, $11 for that win. Hometown hero, sorry, Paulie, gave it a run. Winds up second, 7-11-8.
It was a good pick. I don't think anybody could have expected Lend It To Me to run like he did.
Oh, here's a look at Addicted to You. This horse was 10-1. Morning line, half that number right now. Going to cut back in distance. And the last time we saw this one sprint on the grass, wound up third at this condition.
He did. Now, this is a tough horse. He's been a late scratch before the race a couple of times. He came off of a layoff last time out. I was in the paddock for his most recent race, and he just wasn't really carrying great condition. He does have that third place finish in one of the two sprints of his career back in November of 2021. Can he run back to it? He doesn't have any early speed. There's just so much unknown in this race. For me, he's a little bit of a tough one to trust, but he is taking attention, as you mentioned, 6-1 from that 10-1 line.
Incredibly difficult race to try and handicap to close out this card. Pace, look, we don't know. You switch surfaces. Speed on dirt doesn't always translate into speed on turf. But Gold Bullion, you think the 11 is the one maybe who's going to be in front?
Well, he showed a little bit of early interest in that debut, which I like. He was just the one that I liked the pedigree the most as far as being able to try the turf. I was encouraged that Maggie thought that he looked like a turf sprinter. Javier Castellano climbs aboard. He goes out for Bob Glaceris. There's all good things here with this drop in class, too, getting a nice warm-up out there on track. As far as the speed, I wonder what Mischief Mogul will do, a horse that was forward in a couple of races, the blinkers going on, and just tried the turf for the first time. How you feeling? He hasn't been too far off of it. What does the first-time starter to down do for Tom Morley, whose last work was from the gate? A lot of questions in this race here.
Now with more on the 11, let's go down to Maggie.
Yeah, number 11, Gold Bullion, as we saw Javier Castellano jogging him and cantering in front of the vet, is going to be a late scratch here. I do believe, I think Javier is just waiting for the assistant starters to come to him and the pony to possibly untack him. I'm pretty sure that's what we saw here. I haven't heard it officially over the loudspeaker from John Embrial, but I did hear it over the veterinarians' radios here. So we do see Javier jumping off now. On to number 5, Civil Service. Excuse me, was not in the paddock for his debut. It is official that Gold Bullion is a late scratch. Civil Service, excuse me, I have like that pollen that's just gathering and making me a little bit raspy. So Civil Service, Fed Biz, I like in turf sprints. He's not overly convincing getting to the turf, but I feel like Linda does this kind of move often with a bit of success. Now, granted, he did absolutely no running, so what the heck are you going to do with him after that debut other than drop him and try him on the turf? He's incredibly fit here for Linda, who, yes, her horses look as though they often need that first start. So I'm cautiously optimistic with number 7, Civil Service. Now, number 7 on Palm Sunday is taking a bit of money. Actually, both first-time starters sitting at equal 8s on the board.
board. On Palm Sunday, not much pedigree on the bottom, but eased by Summerfront. Very fit, really professional. Didn't strike me as a turf sprinter, though, so we'll see what he does here. But I thought he was a little bit live. He just dropped to 6. I thought he was a little bit live on the board, though, Greg.
Yeah, taking some money, Maggie. Thanks. 6-1. The Dam didn't get to run on Oaks Day. Just 1 for 11 in her career, and that win came via DQ. We'll see from this first-time starter. That is a good point, actually. Take a look at the board. Definitely some attention there with that first-timer, 6-1.
This is a homebred for Patricia Generosio by Summerfront. Does debut for Dave Donk. Maybe this could be just a stepping stone race, maybe going a little bit longer in the future. I kind of defaulted to the 10 reservation. I was really excited to have a bit of an opinion and liked Gold Bullion in here, but we'll have to wait another day, so we'll see what happens. This is just a very, very tricky race with Mischief Mogul now 8-5. I find that one very tough to trust. At a short price, I think anything can happen in this nightcap.
No one should be 8-5 in this race.
No, I couldn't agree more.
Wow. Well, we'll see what happens, but, you know, we talked about pace before with the 11 coming out. This might be the one in front and people defaulting to where it seems almost like darts. So difficult to see who's going to step up. So many trying the grass for the first time, some first-time starters, those who have run on grass, not the best of form. Gosh, 7-5, though, as we see the 6 rear up.
Southern Civility being a little bit headstrong as Ruben Silveira kicks his feet out of the irons. That'll try and keep a horse a little bit more settled, because once he puts his feet back in the stirrups, the horse will say, okay, I know it's game time now. So you'll see a lot of riders kick their feet out of the irons to try and calm that horse down a little bit. It's the tactic of being able to sit, use your body weight on the horse's back and relax, and try to get them to relax a little bit as well.
Well, Luis Saez, he is on the favorite in here. And we saw him so successful last summer. The 8's acting up a little bit. It's causing a chain reaction here.
Like I said,
but
they're
he
like
is
Christmas
aggressive.
lights, Greg. One goes out, they all go out.
Nothing too serious, though. But, yeah, back to Luis Saez. He's so good so often because he's so aggressive, and now maybe thinks he can just take it to this field here on the 4. We'll see how it plays out of the gate.
I would imagine that's his game plan. As the number 10 reservation, a little bit tough to go in as well, but it seems like they've got the loading process going a little bit more smoothly now.
There's Saez. There's the favorite for Jeffrey Engelhardt off the claim, off of Todd Pletcher. Tough barn to move one up off of. Civil Service moves in. We already know we have a carryover into the Pick 6 going into Saturday. Difficult race to handicap here to close out this Friday card, and several of these acting up a little bit here going into the gate. 6-5 favorite, though. Mischief Mogul. Will he be the one in front? Let's go upstairs. John Imbrial, the call to close out this Friday card from New York.
There in the gate. And they're off. And a good start for the favorite Mischief Mogul. But Civil Service outsprints him early here. It is Civil Service with the lead. Mischief Mogul on the inside now moving up to challenge. They are heads apart for the lead. Southern Civility is next in third. And right alongside is On Palm Sunday in fourth. How you feeling down at the rail runs in fifth. Addicted to You is in sixth. 2 down at the rail in 7th, and it's Pepper King in 8th. On the outside is Tis Snow. Reservation trails the field in 10th. The quarter 22 and 3. Civil Service on the outside and Mischief Mogul on the inside. They remain right together. On Palm Sunday sits off of them in 3rd. Southern Civility next in 4th. Addicted to You has moved off the rail, is on the outside now. 2 down, is beginning to gain some ground from the back. Then How You Feeling as they come into the stretch. It is Civil Service and Mischief Mogul. And then comes On Palm Sunday. Southern Civility is down at the rail, and on the far outside, it is 2 down, who continues to gain. Up front, still Civil Service and Mischief Mogul. 2 down is in 3rd. They come on for the finish, and it is going to be a Friday photo finish in the finale. Was it Civil Service or was it Mischief Mogul?
Or was it a dead heat? Very tight between these two. Saez on Mischief Mogul, Jose Lezcano on Silver Service, and these two went at each other early on in the race.
They did, and my first inclination, Greg, was that the inside horse in the white blinkers, Mischief Mogul, got his nose down first with the wire, but as you watch it with the slow-mo, it's all about the bob, and Civil Service got a good bob getting his nose down. I don't know if he got there in time. That was very, very tight and a big effort between these two horses.
Well, if it's this one here, it's 5-1. If it's the 4 Mischief Mogul, it's the 6-5 favorite. One more look here down the stretch. The 3, the first time it was making a big run, but then it became clear was not going to win this race in the late stages. Oh, those white blinkers.
Ooh, but I don't know. That's really tight. That's really tight. Yeah, a good effort from 2 Down, who finished on his left lead. Maybe one to watch next time out. Ran well to be 3rd on debut when he made it to the racetrack. But the 2 with experience, it was an aggressive ride from Mischief Mogul, but it was also an aggressive ride by Jose Lezcano once again on Civil Service. He never let Mischief Mogul get too far away from him.
Yeah, and seeing, I mean, we were talking about it off camera early on in the race. The fact that Lezcano decided to pressure Saez, a little surprising that these two are right there in the end.
They hung in there pretty tough, and I think that makes the late close from the first-time starter more impressive as well. But no doubt about the top 2. They were very, very game throughout every step of the way. Is that photo still posted? Because that is really tight.
And we know there's not going to be a pick 6 hit today, but there is obviously the pick 5. This could be a big difference in terms of your pick 5s if you're alive. Well, not that huge, actually. 8,300 to Mischief Mogul, 9,900 to Civil Service.
If you were alive to any horse heading into this last race, I certainly feel for you, because this was a head scratcher and a race that did not deserve a loser. Top 2 horses ran very, very well on it throughout every step of the way. They're 1-2 and 1-2 coming down to the wire as well. Mischief Mogul and Civil Service. Dead heat, Greg. You called it.
Incredible.
That really is.
Wow. Mischief Mogul, Civil Service in a dead heat, and that's the best call I've ever made on this program.
Well done. Impressive. 6-5, Mischief Mogul, 5-1, Civil Service. Look, yeah, I have to say, too, they both ran a huge race and both deserve to have their picture taken today. So kind of nice that they get to do just that.
Wow. What a finish to our Friday card. Dead heat, and 2 getting on the grass for the first time. Obviously moving up in here with the surface switch. So 4-5 dead heat, 3-2 underneath. And high fives for both Luis Saez and Jose Lezcano.
Well earned high
Spread
fives.
the joy.
They both worked for it in here.
We will have the prices for you when we come back. A dead heat to close out our card here on this Friday afternoon in Belmont, New York. We'll be back and going to talk again about that big one coming up tomorrow. 5 graded stakes on the program for the Grade 1 Man of War. First Grade 1 of the year, and Yabir, the reigning turf champ in Gafo, going head-to-head. Stay with us.
And they're off. Following C. Pouring it on here in the stretch. Impressive to win the Grade 2 Vosburg. Following C.
Smile Happy has kicked it into high gear. And Smile Happy, with a powerful performance, wins by 2.5.
The Turf champions run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
We're back on America's Day at the Races. Good to have you with us. Card in the books here in New York. And we end things with a dead heat in the finale. Let's go to our Run Happy photo finish. Mischief Mogul, Civil Service. The way this race went early on, it didn't look like either of these two were going to be in the winner's circle.
No, it looked like the pace may fall apart. They made it a thriller in the nightcap, both getting their picture taken, and we did see, Greg, that there was nobody alive into the last leg, but 39,000 plus in pick six carryover tomorrow. That'll be fun.
I like it. Get your handicapping hats on tonight. One more look down the stretch, and I know the story is these two, but first-time starter for Tom Morley, 2 down the 3. Nice debut.
The only one really making up significant ground, too. Got to give him a lot of credit with Eric Cancel in the saddle, but Civil Service outside, Mischief Mogul inside with those white blinkers. Game every step of the way. They were linked up and couldn't separate them at the wire. You called it, noses down at the same time.
How many times has this happened to a race you think has so much promise where anything can happen? And
truly anything.
6-5 favorite right there, along with, I believe, the second choice at 5-1. See the payoffs, pick 5, 2,686. With, I didn't catch which combination that was. Too quick for me. There it is. Oh, okay, there it is for everyone. So
some tough horses
a
in
multi-princess.
Yeah.
Really tough to come up. I thought Shadalamo really tough to come up with, too.
Very, very tough. I thought Heels Together was logical, but a big price. Mischief Mogul logical in the nightcap, but we had that dead heat. But congratulations if you had the late pick 5. You got a nice return. And as mentioned, we'll have that pick 6 carryover to take part in tomorrow.
Principal Stand, too, another one that wasn't easy to find. No. It was Chad Brown, but horse who was ridden aggressively by Irad Ortiz Jr. That was a tough race, holding off the 2 Anthony Dutrow horses. Difficult sequence today, and yeah, as Acacia said, that's again why we have a pick 6 coming up on Saturday. Tomorrow, Grade 1, Man of War, horse who decided to skip the Kentucky Derby.
That's
back in the day.
That's right.
Rich Strike Derby winners deciding to skip the Preakness this year. Interesting.
How about it?
Reigning turf champion, Yabir. We saw him here in New York as part of that Turf Triple Series, and he showed us that incredible turn of foot again in that Breeders' Cup win.
He did. This was an impressive victory in the Breeders' Cup Turf. It was also part of the weekend of dominance and ending a year of dominance for Godolphin and Charlie Appleby, particularly Godolphin, who took home Champion Owner and Breeder Awards, Yabir Champion Turf Male as well, able to get this big win in the Breeders' Cup Turf after he took the Jockey Club Derby. I believe Andy mentioned this earlier too, but not only does American racing and the style and the courses seem to suit Yabir, but he is a gelding, which makes him ineligible for those Group 1s over in Europe. So he can't race at the highest level in those Group 1 races. He can here in the U.S. as he seeks another Grade 1 victory. Would be his second as the Jockey Club Derby. Not great, but obviously a huge purse to take part in.
Is the 2-week turnaround a concern?
It is, but one thing I'll also point out is that these horses in Europe, they train at a yard, and they're very, very used to shipping. So shipping for European horses in large part is not as much of a ordeal or a big process as it is for some American horses. He did come in here a little bit early, get acclimated to Belmont Park. You see him wearing that hood that he typically races in as well. But the turnaround off of a loss is a bit of a concern.
This is Gufo's 5-year-old return to the races. Do you believe we're going to see the best we've ever seen from Gufo as a 5-year-old?
I do. They took the blinkers off last time. I mentioned the thought process behind that. He was not 100% cranked up coming back in the Pan American. A prep for this Man of War. This was the game plan, and he didn't even have to win this day on a turf course at Gulfstream Park that typically favors horses that are much more forwardly placed than a horse like Gufo is. You want to easily under Joel Rosario, who suits him so well.
It's interesting. I mean, he got really good when the blinkers went on, but did Christophe Clement not believe that that was a factor for him turning the corner and having some big success?
He did, absolutely. The blinkers going on had been in the thought process behind that was that they wanted Gufo to respond to Joel Rosario a little bit earlier. He's a lazy type of horse. Now it seemed he'd gotten a little bit more keen. He's a 5-year-old. He's become a little bit easier to handle around the barn. He's still a bit of a bear in his training, but the blinkers have no more need for them, so to speak, and he's turned into a better, stronger horse this year.
Can't wait for it. Grade 1 showdown between the reigning turf champ, multiple Grade 1 winner Gufo. It's coming up tomorrow on the program. That'll be the 8th on our card on a day that has 5 graded stakes races. We hope you join us. We're on beginning at 2 Eastern time on FS2. We will see you then. Bella Sofia, test winner from last year. Of course, she returns for Rudy Rodriguez, as does the reigning turf champion Yabir in the showdown with Gufo, the multiple Grade 1 winner for Christophe Clement. It's going to be a fun Saturday afternoon here in Belmont, New York. We will see you tomorrow starting at 2 Eastern.
It's 1,000 words fighting back, coming down to the finish. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, this is one stunning picture.
1,000 words just in front. 1,000 words wins the Robert B. Lewis.
Honoree P is full out now, second on the outside, and they're coming down to the line, and 1,000 words has done it.